18th day of January 2021. Indeed, the year is moving up very fast. I don't know whether you feel so, but all the same, the beauty of it all is that every other morning of the week, Morning Cafe is here to keep you posted, to entertain you, to educate you, and it is always good doing this with you. Karibu sana. My name is Linda Alela. Yes, the program is Morning Cafe, and today we take a look at the politics of the weekend. What is the state of the nation, even as politics continue to heighten up in the country, begging the question as to whether we are even genuine when we talk of taking care of ourselves against or, trying to curb the spread of COVID-19. But importantly, we also discuss other issues that are taking center stage here in the country. Matters education, matters health of importance, still a stalemate within this particular sector. And we equally ask just what needs to be done to address some of these things. And also we do not forget our bodies, which is very, very important. And so today we also talk matters detox. We keep talking about detox, but just how much information do you have of the same? We'll be loading you with that. That is later on towards the last minutes of the program. But importantly, we update you on what is there that has been captured on the papers, and equally what my team has prepared as we tell you of what to expect for the day. Karibu sana. What's important is that we value your feedback and we'd love to hear from you. So how do you get to do that? The hashtag, as always, is Morning Cafe, and on Twitter at Linda_Alela, TV47KE, or our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya, and we get to hear from you. What do you have to say about the day, about the events of the weekend, what played out in Uganda, what is happening in Nairobi, what is happening in the national politics? We'll certainly get to sample some of these comments as we proceed with the broadcast. It is good to have you, and it is good to hear from you. So let's kickstart by briefly taking a sneak preview of what the papers say. This is the People Daily. Shock as student kills watchman. Nyangori High School guard was responding to a distress call that is from the dormitory when he was hit on the head with a metal rod. Pretty much unfortunate of what has been playing out, especially with our young tax. Indeed, is a quite unfortunate story captured on page 2. We'll be looking at it later. And JSC sets rules for picking next CJ. Of course, that also finds itself on our daily diary, a story captured on page 2. This upon the exit of Chief Justice David Maraga and, coming in of DCJ Philomena Mwilu, who is in charge now until the next substantive Chief Justice is gotten or is, of course, elected or nominated or appointed. Appointed is the word, actually. And away from it, police service restless about AP's involvement in crime. That is a story captured on page 5. The syndicate is on, and such has been the case for the longest of time. What could be informing this is one story that is being talked about on page 5, like I have said. And no winners as Ruto Raila trade barbs. This on the politics of the nation. We'll be looking at it later on as we look at how, these leaders have managed to traverse different parts of the country, trying to sell the agenda. Right Honorable Raila Odinga speaking of the BBI, while DP Ruto evidently speaking of what his intentions are for 2022, and all of them, pointing fingers as to why it is, or pointing fingers at each other as to why it is that we're not doing so much, in terms of development in the country. Ruto blames the handshake. Right Honorable Raila Odinga says that, he was elected in government, so alongside President Uhuru Kenyatta, they should be able to give the people of Kenya, development without pointing fingers, without blaming anything. And Wine fears for life after losing a vote to Museveni. What has culminated in the East African nation, that is Uganda. A story captured on page 8. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni declared the president for the 6th time, or for his 6th term, something that many have argued probably would have been a flawed election, or an election that wasn't free and fair. So a lot of developments coming in regards to this. We'll be looking at it later. Questions abound on why relatives kill family in a fit of rage. We have witnessed this in a couple of past, a couple of days. that have passed, which is something that has been, condemned, and is something that is probably getting rampant, begging the question of just where are the values of the family unit. Away from the People Daily to the Daily Nation front page, what does it have? Matters Uganda, combative Museveni. President Museveni donned military, that is camouflage jacket, after being declared winner, an indication that there would be no niceties, yes. And this is a story captured on page 20 of the Daily Nation, and trouble for SportPesa shareholders was set to deepen, with Kenya Revenue Authority demanding about 95 billion. That should be in form of tax. A story captured on page 12. We'll be looking at that and what it would mean for the sports world. Remember, at that point when they were closed down, lots of complaints came on board. First, of course, from the youths who are constantly out there to try and bet so that they are able to make money out of it. Away from it, handshake faces strong turbulence. DP Ruto tells opposition leader and his team to pack and leave. Yes, this is also one thing that we'll be looking at as we also deeply get into understanding what played out in Nairobi, whether indeed it is a good move or not. Kananu could be installed this week according to well-laid out plan. A former chief officer could take oath of office as the third governor of Nairobi County anytime this week, and in a rush to block any attempt by strong or disgruntled individuals from moving to court, stop the transition. That is a story captured on page 6. Alongside my panelists, we'll be looking at that and this more. And I mean that what we get to understand what it means for matters democracy. Murder at home, when your flesh and blood turns killer. That's equally one story that I have touched on, and is a story captured on page 8, 10, and 11. Just what it is that bedevils the family unit. And the Standard newspaper, Raila allies message to President Kenyatta. Time to act. Here, Senator James Orengo comes out and says wants President Uhuru Kenyatta to crack the whip on dissenting voices within the Jubilee Party. And yes, they say who are undermining the unity or the national unity. That is a story captured on page 4, and we'll be looking at that. Tragedy, love brewed in a gym ends in fatal tears. That's pretty much unfortunate of the crimes of passion that we also witnessed today. And the politics of survival, is it politics of survival or just what is playing out? These few individuals, Maura, you've seen Keter, the likes of Kangata, the likes of Isaac Ruto, and conversations revolving around the realignments that we are likely to witness as we head to 2022. And most of these individuals, just trying to find space in what they would term or they would deem as the best party for them to be able to position themselves for 2022. That we'll be looking at later on. Joho's acid test as a coast kingpin as DP invades region. Yes, the DP has been said to invade key strongholds for Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and equally that one of President Uhuru Kenyatta, begging the question as to just how is he positioning himself and what this would mean for these kingpins of this particular region. So that is more like it on the newspapers. And briefly, we take a look at what is on the diary today. And if we can have that up, like I said earlier on, that aspect of setting up of the CJ is one that we'll be looking at, then we'll be following up. But first, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka invites you to a press conference today. That is the 18th of January. And the question at hand, or the subject, is on the aspect of land and the changes that we've witnessed being declared on Matters Land by CS for Matters Land, that is Farida Karonei. And the question is, who is fooling who? The process of recanting, that is a new Chief Justice, will kick on today. or recruiting. Yes, it's actually recruiting. A new Chief Justice will kick off today, and the Judicial Service Commission will announce the vacancy today. So these are the key functions that will be playing out, and we'll be following up on the same. We have our reporters on ground to give you more updates, and there's still so much that it will be happening in the world of news. What's important is that we'll be here to ensure that you are updated. Briefly, it's a Monday. It's always good that we look at what is happening on the roads. And yes, saying that it's a Monday, we kickstart by understanding what is happening somewhere around the different parts of Nairobi. And here we are. Traffic not so bad this morning. I'm not getting a clear view of this, but not to worry. There's not so much. This is somewhere around Bunyala Road. Bunyala Road is not bad. This is not really giving me the best picture that I would want, but that is to tell you again, when you look around, we do not have the red line, so that means the roads are not badly off this morning. This is the Southern Bypass. It's pretty much of an ease, as you can see right there. Not much of traffic, bringing us to around Langata Road. And Langata Road this morning, equally as you're headed to the CBD, is doing just fine right here. And coming to this side of Lusaka Road is also pretty much of an ease. Gikomba, those sides is also not so bad. Ngong Road is here, right here, from the CBD, and well, to and from the CBD, you can tell that the Ngong Road is doing very well. And bringing us to these sides, we take Kingara Road and fall to Gitanga Road. Gitanga Road is equally good this morning. And when you look at Gitanga Road around there, the likes of Naivasha Road, not so bad. As you're headed to Kawangware, equally not so bad this morning. This is James Gishuru, and James Gishuru is equally as good this morning, as you can see. And that tells you then that there's not much of traffic as of now. This is Ngong Road, Valley Road right here, State House Road, and all these roads are doing just good. This sides of South Bay and South Sea, all these roads are not so bad. And coming to Enterprise Road, somewhere around here, Enterprise Road is not doing bad. Mombasa Road is here from Imara Daima, and coming up all the way as you're headed to the city is an ease, getting us somewhere around here to Kipande Road, not so bad. These sides of Westlands and Parklands where I am, pretty much of an ease also. I guess it's still too early to take a look at this. Yes, let's try and get ourselves back on track. And here we are, Muthaiga, and coming to Outer Ring. Outer Ring is here. This morning is an ease of Outer Ring, somewhere around Embakasi. That is to tell you we need not to worry. Eastern Bypass is an ease this morning. And let's see whether we have something to show on this side of Thika Road. Kasarani Mwiki, here we are. Pretty much of an ease. This side of Mirema, that is Kamiti Road, not so bad. And this is Thika Road going down all the way. Yes, is much of an ease. So that is to tell you there's no really cause for alarm this morning on the roads that is in Nairobi, and you can be rest assured that it isn't badly off. But I always say Nairobi is strange because in 5 minutes you would be surprised of the kind of snarl-up that you witnessed just when you were told that there was no much of traffic. So if you're stepping out, this is the time to take advantage of that, and then you can be rest assured that you'd be able to beat the traffic and get to your destination on time. Let's drop that and come to what it is that my team has prepared. And a standoff continues to build up, or is being witnessed, between striking health unions and the Council of Governors. And of course, the Council of Governors, led by its chairperson, Wycliffe Oparanya, has maintained that no benefits will be given to health workers who, for or close a month now, have downed their tools, as Nanok Lorena tells us.
Even as the crunch in the health sector continues to be felt, striking health workers, including clinical officers, have maintained that the strike is still on. This even as the Council of Governors, led by its chair Wycliffe Oparanya, insists that it will not meet the demands tabled by the striking health workers.
Mimi nimesema na mkiwa nao muambie hata waende strike miaka 100. Hakuna pesa mimi nitalipa, kwa sababu hawa nurses wanalipa hata kuliko engineer. Wale engineer unaona wa barabara na madigrii allowance sijui 16 kwa mshahara, Bukola allowance, risk allowance. Hii vitu yote kila mtu akifanya kazi na nyinyi.
However, Labour CS Simon Chelugui has hinted that dialogue between the striking health workers, including clinical officers and nurses, is on top gear, citing that before the end of the month, a truce to the strike that has already paralyzed operations in many counties will be arrived at. This even as Baringo County boss insists that some of the demands being made by the health workers can only be fulfilled by the national government.
Kuna vikundi mbili tu ambao the clinical officers na nurses ambao walikuwa na uliza waongezewe pesa ya allowances. Nadhani vile tulikubaliana kule Nairobi, kuna yale ambao tunaweza kufanya na ile hatuwezi.
Sasa tuko na mazungumzo na clinicians and our nurses, and I hope before end of this month we will be announcing nationally a formula on return to work.
The Union of Clinical Officers has held its head high, saying it will not bow down to any form of intimidation or threats. However, it has called on the Oparanya-led council to include health workers on the negotiating table.
The threats, intimidations, the dismissals will not solve the health crisis that we have now. We must be able to engage in social dialogue. And while doing that, we must do so with the goodwill that is demanded by the same process.
The recent threats, intimidation and unfair labor practices propagated by some counties, including Taita Taveta, Kisii, Mombasa, among others, have been criticized by the health workers.
Any threat to fire a clinical officer, to fire any healthcare worker, can never actually go without an answer. And that is why we are saying we are not politicians. What we want is a consideration, prioritization on matters of health and protection of healthcare workers, and including those who are seeking services in our public facility. If that one cannot guarantee it, let Governor Ongwai and his counterpart, the chairman of the council, Governor Paranya, forget it.
Nanok Lauren, TV 47.
Well, Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata has once again reiterated that the Building Bridges Initiative BBI report is not popular in Mount Kenya region. Speaking in a Murang'a church, now the senator stated that they want more important issues to be addressed before they accept the BBI. He says that matters to do with coffee and tea, which are main cases or cash crops in the region, are marred by numerous challenges which farmers think should be given priority, but not the BBI. Kang'ata, who is also the Senate Majority Chief Whip, defended himself on the letter he wrote to the president, saying this was to inform him on the truth on how matters are on the ground.
Niambiwa na wananchi wa huku kwetu Murang'a, wakaniambia kabla ulete maneno ya BBI, ebu enda utetee wale wanaitwa wakulima wa kahawa. Niliongea uongo? Wenye wanasema niliongea ukweli, mikono juu tuone. Umeona? Hiyo iko maneno yangu. Mimi hata mkiniondoa kwa kiti nitasema asanti, mimi ni Mkristiano, nitasema kwa jina la Baba, la Mwana, la Roho Mtakatifu.
Still on politics, Deputy President William Ruto now claims that the opposition is the cause of the failures of the Jubilee government. However, Opposition Chief Raila Odinga maintains that Ruto is part of the failed Jubilee government.
Na wakati tuliuza kura zenu mkawa watu wangwana.
Deputy President William Ruto is accusing the opposition of the failures of the Jubilee government. Ruto claiming that the Raila-led faction has derailed the government in delivering its promises to Kenyans.
You have come with alternative priorities that have put on hold everything we wanted to do under the Big Four. You have even told us that the Big Four is not a priority, that changing the constitution is a priority.
However, ODM leader Raila Odinga says the early campaigns by the DP is what has failed the government. Raila and his allies claiming that Ruto is part of the failures of the Jubilee government.
Ahidi wa Kenya mambo mengi zaidi. Mr. 6 months. In 6 months' time, we shall give all the children in schools laptops. In 6 months, we shall be able to create 1 million jobs for our youth. In 6 months, we shall build 47 modern stadiums in all 47 counties.
Ati mnakuja kumuuliza sijui mambo ya laptop. Ati mnakuja kumuuliza sijui mambo ya sera gani. Hapo mahali mmekaa, kaeni polepole. Na kama imekuwa ngumu pia mnaweza kuondoka, lakini muondoke polepole. Hakuna haja ya kutupigia makelele. Kwa sababu tunajua njama yenu.
Hapa Nairobi anatuambia ati serikali ya Jubilee imeshindwa na kazi na mwenye atarekebisha ati ni Ruto. Anaweza? Kama wewe ndio ulikuwa the problem, how can you be the solution?
Ruto's allies blaming the ODM boss for running down the economy through the handshake.
Ile mimi niliona kwa macho yangu mimi mwenyewe. Tuliporudi second term, ndio hiyo tunataka kuanza safari. Kuna mzee akatembelea Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta rais. Akakuja kumsalimia. Akamwambia nimekuwa mzee, mimi natafuta tu mahali pa kupumzika, unisaidie nikunywe tu maji, hiyo opposition imeniumiza.
Serikali imefanya mambo mengi hapa Athi River. Siku hizi mko na railway station hapa Athi River, si ndio? Watu wanabebwa kutoka hapo, that is in our ministry. Ile ingine Mombasa dual carriageway mnaona inaendelea.
The ODM leader says that Ruto should not speak as if he is not part of the government when he campaigns for his 2022 presidential bid. The opposition has been blaming Ruto for his 2022 campaigns.
ODM leader Raila Odinga maintains that the BBI report is the solution to the problems Kenyans are facing. Raila says the recommendations in the BBI report will ensure that anything bedeviling Kenya are sorted. Raila was speaking in Kayole as Mwangi Minor reports.
Sunday afternoon, an ODM leader, Raila Odinga, took the BBI politics to Soweto area of Embakasi East constituency in Nairobi. After attending a church service at St. Joachim Catholic Church, Raila held a massive political rally to sell the BBI agenda, a move seen to solidify Raila's support in Embakasi, a week after Deputy President William Ruto toured the area, wooing Nairobians to board the hustlers train. Raila insisting that the referendum through the Building Bridges initiative is a solution to the myriad of problems bedeviling Kenyans.
Moja yao ni kupendekezo kutoa pesa kule juu kurudi mashinani kutoka 15 mpaka 35. 35% ya pesa itoke kule ije mashinani. Sawa? Sawa? Kwa hiyo pesa ambayo inakuja 5% yake inakuja katika mawards. Ile Ward Development Fund ambayo itakuwa inaingia katika kila ward hapo.
He has chided politicians giving out handouts to Kenyans, arguing that Kenya require permanent solutions and not publicity-seeking stance from politicians.
Hakuna mtu anataka kuwa mtu wa kusukuma wheelbarrow maisha yake yote. Au mkokoteni unasukuma kwa sababu hakuna kazi nyingine, sio unasukuma unataka, sio unakuma unataka. Hiyo ni kutusi wewe, si kutusi wewe. Kwa hivyo tunasema ya mambo ya wilbaro kwenda naye huko Sugoi.
ODM legislators who had accompanied Odinga to the rally, promising a bruising political contest in safeguarding ODM strongholds, as well as popularizing the BBI report in Nairobi.
Ukiwasikia wanasema sijui nini, baba anadanganywa. Kwani baba hawezi danganya? Kwani baba hawezi ingiza mtu box? Kwa hivyo tutatembea pahali Uhuru yuko Pahali Raila yuko, hapo ndio sisi tunashikilia hapo. Vijana TV, nataka kuhakikishia baba ya kwamba BBI hapa Nairobi itaenda juu. Raila Amolo Odinga hajawahi kupoteza siasa ya referendum tangu tuanze referendum Kenya.
Raila, whose eyes are in the 2022 presidential race, is gearing up to consolidate his political strongholds to rally behind the BBI report and the forthcoming referendum.
As the 2022 politics and the BBI politics continue to heighten up, the conflict between Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga has continued to deepen as Raila asks Kenyans to support the BBI report, whereas the Deputy President is asking the Kenyans to reject the report. Mwangi Maina, TV 47 from Jacaranda Grounds, Nairobi.
Thanks, Mwangi. And away from it, the process of recruiting a new Chief Justice to replace retired David Maraga will officially kick off today. The Judicial Service Commission says it will announce the vacancy, and this is starting today, and that recruitment process will follow the law.
The process of recruiting a new Chief Justice to replace the retired David Maraga will kick off tomorrow. According to a statement released by the Judicial Service Commission JSC, the Commission will commence the publication of the notice declaring vacancy in the office of the Chief Justice. The Commission says the recruitment process will be governed and conducted in accordance with all the relevant provisions of the Constitution. Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu is currently in acting capacity. Mwilu says she is qualified to fit the position.
I hold the office of the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. The qualifications for that office are the same qualifications for the office of the Chief Justice.
Others said to be eyeing the Chief Justice position include Professor Tom Ojienda, former Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai, Professor Makau Mutua, who had tried his luck in 2016 when Maraga was appointed, and Philip Murgor, who is a renowned city lawyer. Others are Supreme Court judges including Njoki Ndongo, Smoking Wanjala, and Isaac Lenaola. The incoming Chief Justice is expected to overhear next year's election case. Andrine Kilemi, TV 47.
Well, thank you, Andrin Kilemi, for that. Exactly 6:27 a.m. in the morning, and it's now time that we take a short break. We're coming back with the newspapers.
When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. Stories.
We're back with the papers. The People Daily on the screen. We'll be looking at the Standard newspaper and also the Daily Nation. More or less the same story captured on the front page. And joining me for this is governance expert Irungu Gokor. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you. Good
You're an early bird, yeah?
Yeah, you have to be programmed.
That's good. That is really good. And we're happy to have you this morning as we get into looking at the newspapers and then later on proceed to the discussions of the day. Remember, you can be part and parcel of that later on. The numbers to call will be running down on your screen. And so is the SMS short code, but importantly, the social media platform hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. We delve deep into understanding this. Let's first look at what is on the People's Daily. The right on the top and the first story that is extensively expounded on page 2. Probably we should just go to page 2. JSC sets rules for picking next CJ. Lobbying for Maraga successor intensifies within the judiciary. And this is not the first time that this is happening. We've witnessed the past, processes of getting a CJ on board and how murky they can be and how interesting they can be. So a peek into the candidates and their chances. What do you make of this?
Wow, thanks a lot, Leader. Once again, holding a top seat in Kenya.
Yes.
We have the judiciary, which is an arm of government that, being the leader of that is like being the president or being the speaker of the National Assembly. So it is not an easy task. There will be politics.
Right.
It's a process. every interview, every job opportunity, let's look at it from that perspective. It's a job opportunity. So even a simple job opportunity of a watchman, you know, there still to be interviews, there have to be lobbying and all that. It will be very key. It will be very key to watch. What I know is everyone who qualifies is qualified. What we should look at is what does the government want to achieve?
Yes.
What does the government want to achieve in the next phase of the judiciary, which is a very key. We have 2022,
yes.
We have 2027 elections. That is, we cannot overlook that part in the whole thing. We have the judicial growth.
Yes.
Now the country is exploring and it's expanding. So how are we going to make sure that the person in Kayole gets same justice as the person in the interior of Marakwet?
Yeah.
How do we see that the amount of laws that are coming in every day, every out, that they are being implemented? Practically, I may look at a Chief Justice who will invest more into discipline, more into order within the judiciary,
right?
Because that's what we practically need as we move forward. Yeah.
Yes, and as many would say, the one that comes next will have a hard task in trying to address the stalemate and the indifference that has been witnessed between the judiciary and the executive. So yes, we wait to see. And this one, like I said earlier on, we'll have our team on ground following up on the same. Back to the front page, shock as student kills watchman. A story again on page 2. Nyamori High School guard was responding to distress call from a dormitory when he was hit on the head with a metal. I mean, it's barely days after another one also stabbed his own teachers. And the numerous cases that we've witnessed, the one that is in Kiambu, of course, the investigations still continue. But here we are. I mean, what really does it speak of the society?
I don't know why we sometimes, as adults, try to ignore that we were once there. And we had school strikes.
Okay.
We banned schools.
Okay.
We banned our buses. We went on riot. I remember when I was in Form 1, we had a serious fight between the school and our neighbors. Yeah. And it was, it even made headlines. So it's something that's not new now. It's only that maybe it's getting more news, more news coverage and all that.
Okay.
Because the media has also expanded unlike in the past. That aside, it's not a good thing. What we should be looking at is how much are we as parents instilling discipline among our kids.
Yeah.
How much are we as a society? I like what Moses Kuria said yesterday. I don't know whether he had come from some sort of self. When he told Sonko something is not right here.
Well, that really beautiful in the first place. It's not, so it's not a case
exactly, because it was so like, really? Of all people, so if we look at it that way, what are we telling? When I come here and we are panelists of 4 or 5 people, when we exchange insults, what are we telling the millions watching us? That it's okay to exchange, it's okay to exchange insults in public. So even us, when we were teenagers, you knew that if you misbehave, there's no one to emulate. But now they see their fathers are on Facebook, Twitter, exchanging insults.
So it means then it goes back to parenting and the society.
Yes. Because you can always, you can always emulate what you see.
Yeah.
So it's not a good thing. Plus now, also the Ministry of Education, to put a rejoice on that, need to accept that discipline is also part of education. And as much as they want 100% transition, every student should stay. They should also accept that. Then disciplined ones need to go.
Yeah.
Yes, because otherwise they will affect the many.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and that brings me to page 14 of the People Daily, trying to get a hold of it. And here we are. The question at hand is just, why is it that families are turning against each other? And here we are, why people murder close relatives. Land has been an issue, but honestly,
we are moving from a tradition culture to a modern African culture. So my father inherited land before he was born, because my grandfather had projected that he might have a son And since the community land was there, so land was set apart for the next, for their kids who are yet to be born. When my father when we came of age, our father called us and told us, now everybody, you guys are big, so start planning on how everybody will get their small share and see where they can build for their children. What about my children?
Wow.
I can either buy for them,
yes,
I can either take them to school. So as that society transitions from the traditional culture to the modern culture, some of these things are practically there with us. Right. Number two, our parents raised up to compete against cousins, brothers, sisters. So you'll find that my parent is okay, me being here on this TV, she's very happy, she's watching, my mom, she's watching, and my dad and my brothers, they are watching. But what about the neighbor? What about our neighbor?
Okay.
So that neighbor may be feeling bad that it's not his kid.
Right.
And we have raised our society into more of a into more of a competitive society amongst generations, amongst family members, more than a united, we are moving from cooperative to private.
Okay. So
as much as instead of that family sitting down, and I've seen it even with some families, that the most rich kid is the most favored. So what about the rest? What people forget is the emotional effect of negligence is not seen using the common eye. It's used, you have to look at it from a deeper perspective, that this person feels neglected. And by virtue that a kid should be raised up by the parents or the adult people, if you show them, and I've seen it with my bosses and quite a number of them, they make sure that they bring their children together. From as early as possible.
Okay.
So whoever is doing well, can she pick up the rest? Me and my cousins, we have so many chamas. So we are able to talk, agree, even or even discuss the family matters from that extended perspective, not from the nuclear perspective.
Okay.
But now, if you ignore that, we will, we will still have to keep on fighting over land, fighting over negligence, fighting over even, or even favorism, fighting over all these things. And that's why you may find, like now we are reading the story of this family in Kiambu. This guy left home. We are not saying, we are not blaming the parents because he's an adult also. He should have made a decision. Met the girlfriend who maybe gave him compassion or something. And we are running away from that perspective. And I've seen that we are taking our kids to church and school for that role, but we don't want to be part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a good, interesting. An interesting perspective to what has been happening, and it goes back to the family unit. It goes back to the values, the social values that we stand with. And it's evidence that we probably need to go back to the drawing board and just ask ourselves, where did the rain start beating us, and what can we do to avoid such occurrence? Bringing us to politics, that is right aside Busia gubernatorial aspirants resolve to back one candidate. That's an interesting one. All this in preparation for 2022, and I think it is one story that will take us further to some bit of the politics that have been captured on the page. That is the front page of the People Daily. Now, no winners. Ruto, Raila trade Babs, and I think this is what we'll be talking about. That is later on the broadcast, so we might not delve much. But do we go without discussing what played out in Uganda, honestly?
Last time I was here and I told you practically there will be no elections in Uganda. It will be a security agency's affair. We've all seen it. We have all seen it. Everything has been run by the military and the police. And there's nothing new. I watched Kizza Besigye's interview yesterday, and he said that what he wants is a generation in Uganda that will demand for leaders to be accountable. If we move it that way across Africa, then we will get somewhere.
Do we have this generation looking at the level of intolerance that comes along with this, looking at the level of rage, and sometimes getting some of these old guards, feeling like, when we exit, these people are going to make our lives hell on earth. So probably that's the reason why they glue themselves down there.
We have it. I salute Bobby. His party has been able to increase in numbers. Like I said, Bobby and team, because I like what he says. He keep on saying, I'm only one, and and the advantage with me, Bobby, is I'm able to attract media. But there are 30, 40 others who are suffering and are not known in the media. So if these 40, if these 30, 40 of them, including the now mayor for Kampala, Jose, if all of them sit down and they move the Malema style that we have been voted by the people. It's our duty to show people what good leadership is. Since we cannot fight Museveni, and I like, that's what Nani said, PCJ said, that they cannot fight Museveni because it will lead into bloodshed. Can we show people what good leadership is that Museveni is not offering? Can we be the alternative now? And you see, the Malema party is increasing in numbers every election. So because they have told the South Africa youngsters that this is what we can do. And you saw what he did during the COVID era. So he's telling people, we will not fight ANC on the street. We will fight ANC using our policies. So can Bobby and team do that in the next 6 years? Can they show us that they are able to run government using ideologies, policies, laws, leading by example? It's not about business. Can they tell these young jobless people that this is what we are capable of doing to provide employment in our own small capacity? So when you give us power, we will do it in a very bigger way. That way you are able to have what you call an internal revolution. An internal revolution is where in a family of 10, there are only 2 parents and there are 6 kids. So these 6 kids will subscribe to the ideology of Bobby beyond the activism part of it. But if we still continue with that issue of street and elections, practically I don't know, because the next 6 years are huge. Museveni might not vie again, but he might instill a successor. If we go the streetwise, he'll continue stealing successors
that are actually subscribed to what he believes
to what he believes in, and it will not help the generations achieve what they may want to achieve as an individual. Because we must move from the emotion perspective of leadership to something that is ideological and a bit economic. Because young people do not just want to see one of them on power; they just want to see that one of them making all of them better.
Yes. All right, and this is indeed one of the elections that triggers more conversation on the systems of governance and the leadership within the African continent. Something that continues to be castigated based on how our leaders have handled it, begging the question as to what really is being done with these regional bodies and also the African Union at large, in regards to ensuring that there's sanity within the African continent or the different countries of the African continent. We dropped that one. And the last one on the People Daily, police service restless about AP's involvement in crime, captured on page 5 of the People Daily. And this is news, or this is something that has been in existence for the longest of time, and just how safe can we say we are if the very same people who are supposed to protect us are the very same people who are deep-rooted in crime?
How do we look at it? Let's look at the numbers, the increase in numbers of our police officers in the last 10 years. The amount of police officers that has been recruited in the last 10 years versus the amount that have retired. So you can see it has been maybe 1,000 times, 1,000% of that number. Every year we have 7,000, 6,000, 4,000. Up from 500, 1,000. So every village today has a police post. Every village, every town has a police station. Every village has a police post. CDF has done so much across the country to do that. Every CDF, I think, has a budget for security, and the key thing is building the police post and all that. When these people go through the course that they go through, that does not turn them 100% to be law-obeying citizens. When you look at other officers in state who abuse office through corruption, nepotism, and all that, can this be the corruption version of the AP of the
make
police.
our lives hell on earth.
So if we
probably
cannot
that's the reason why they
collectively say
themselves
that
out.
all senior government officials are thieves because a PS is in court, all all PSs are thieves because one PS is in court. We cannot say all AP officers are bad just because 2 or 3 have been found, in one of these things. And it's so sad that it happens. But when you look at the records, this morning, I'm pretty sure by 8 a.m. If you send your team to the police headquarters, and you told them, can you tell us how many crime cases have been reported in all police stations now this morning? The numbers are huge. The numbers are huge. And can we look and say how many of those that have been resolved to the satisfaction of the complainants? The percentage might be as well high. So that tells you, if we kill the morale, because we talk to police officers, and the first thing they tell us is, Irongo, nyinyi mnatuwekelea sisi wote munatua na sisi ni wabaya. No one day I got a breakdown of Kiambu Road. Late at night, juzi tu akatua curfew. Within less than 20 minutes, 2 of them were there on patrol. 2 vehicles, they came, they helped us. They helped us to our vehicles to the nearest station. Then they took me to my house. They didn't know me. Practically, they didn't know me. In fact, it was way later than the OCS Mudaiga. I called him. He didn't pick my call. So he later called me back. So that's when they were like, so they were doing it out of that. Right. Out of that, it's a call of duty.
They're good, yes.
Yeah, they are good. Not all of them are good. The bad ones, we must also appreciate that. And like the CS Interior keeps saying, they keep on taking action. Yeah. Action is being taken. We should be asking ourselves, is action being taken is action being taken to that one officer who misbehaves and goes against their code of ethics? Okay. That should be our concern. Newspapers should be here with statistics. Such a story would be so complete if they told us the statistics with the police service says that 10,000 police officers has been interdicted, 5 are going through disciplinary action, 5,000 are going through disciplinary action, 2,000 has been sacked. So that gives us a complete story. Okay. But leaving it at it makes it vague and open for everybody.
Okay, well, of course, there are more details to the same. Yeah. So it is only fair that one goes through it and we see how far this has been taken. And Kangata stands his ground, says he told the president nothing but the truth. We'll be looking at that a step higher or a step up. Kananu swearing in, climax of intrigues in Sonko Oyster. City County Chief set himself up for impeachment, says expert. We also be looking at that is later on. As we are about to wind up on the newspaper review, we briefly take a look at what has been captured with the Standard newspaper. Raila Allies' message to President Kenyatta. Yes, they say it's time that the president cracks the whip. When you see Orengo speak, most of the time they say it is Raila who is speaking. We understand the intrigues of the same as we proceed. Tragedy of love, also unfortunate story in regards to the social ills that continue to happen, the crimes of passion and so much. So, politics of survival, whether it is survival or not, the figures that have been, painted right there. We ask just, what are some of the defects that we are set to, to witness come, 2022, and we are expecting to see realignments. We're expecting to see new parties crop up. We're expecting to see some of the parties that are in existence today shed off, and so much so everyone is looking at their own interest come 2022. A story captured on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. We also discuss that as we take a look at the politics of the weekend and also what played out at the coastal region in regards to politics of kingpinship. I don't know whether that's the right word to use. Yes, but yes, who's the kingpin and all that, as DP has decided to invade heavy on some of these key strongholds that have been considered to be strongholds for others, that is the ODM and Jubilee, which is his party anyway. But now the side of President Uhuru Kenyatta. KRA beats December revenue target to collect over 166 billion. That's a good thing?
Very good. Very good. I was watching that. I was reading that news bite on KRI Beats.
Yes.
It shows that the economy is recovering from post-COVID at a very high rate. In fact, it would be my wish if the president, maybe today or tomorrow or in the course of the week or next week, opens up the economy back to 24 hours.
Yeah.
As in like remove the curfew and let people now work overnight. Because it has shown us that we have, we would say it was December, so it was festive season, and people are spending. So it can as well tell us that we are headed somewhere. Infrastructure over the new year, personally, I went all the way to Moyale, and you could see so many vehicles of guys taking road trips to Moyale to just enjoy the tarmac and the sceneries and all that. And you see, that was money migrating from the central point of the country to the other regions, and that's what infrastructure does.
Okay, well, that one is a good thing, as you say. We see what happens in regards to that. The Daily Nation, combative Museveni, we've talked about that. Trouble for SportPesa, this is pretty much, a story that has been there or has been in the papers out there for the longest of time. The battle is still on in regards to payment of tax and just the existence of some of these companies that are there.
Kenya should pay tax.
They should.
We should pay tax.
There's
and
no
we should encourage paying tax.
Yeah.
I fought KRI for that. KRI want us to take money to them instead of them coming for money to us.
Yes.
That is where they are failing. They sit down and they want us to take money to them.
And they expect people to be genuine enough
to take money to them instead of them coming for money to us.
That's
Kibaki KRI, during the Waweru era, they used to come and take money from us. Every shop in this town had an ETR. And without it, you felt like you could even, you couldn't even sell to a stranger without telling him, nakutolea ETR, because they didn't know whether it was a KRI officer came to check whether we are paying. Now, sitting back and expecting us to take money to them, they'll keep on taxing employees, they'll keep on overtaxing the civil servants, they'll keep on overtaxing the multinationals, while the SME economy that runs this country is free to enjoy and make profit right, left, and center.
Puts to question the aspect of structures and just how they are set, and that is one thing that we'll also get a chance to discuss sometimes. And this is politics. Handshake faces strong turbulence. Kananu could be installed this week. That is to, the governor position, and murder at home when your flesh and blood turns a killer. And I think these are some of the stories that we've already touched on the other newspapers. And so, Goko, I think it's only fair that we close this aspect of taking a look at the papers, and we cross over to the discussion. On standby, John Kagusha, Speaker Nyeri County, who will be joining us via Skype, and communication advisor Dr. Barak Muluka is also in studio, and we delve into understanding the state of the nation and importantly what culminated in regards to politics over the weekend, as we delve deep into understanding what way forward for us as a people. That should be after this short break.
When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant and the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant and the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals.
We get to the discussion, and this morning we look at the politics of the week, and so much has happened. For a moment, we all forget that we had said that, you know what, we should try and stop doing these campaigns that we have around. We should not have crowds coming on board to just discuss politics and generally everything and anything. That is according to President Uhuru Kenyatta's declaration, which, as far as I'm concerned, he has not, said otherwise in regards to this. And so we ask ourselves, are we really genuine in the fight against COVID-19 or against the spread of COVID-19? But that aside, what do you read out of all this? Movements that are made by our very own leaders in regards to just projecting their political interests as the electorate. What do you gather from this? As we are headed to 2022, what will you pick that will be of importance even as you go out there to the ballot? You're going to elect a leader based on ideology, based on the policies, based on what it is that they bring on board. In most cases, we say we fail ourselves as the electorate because when it gets there, we're whipped by emotions and we talk matters, party affiliation, we talk a tribe, we talk, this is my person and that is his person and all that. And we tend to forget the most important things. As I would always remind you, you might elect him in just because he's, your tribesman. But you tend to forget that when unga is expensive somewhere on the shelves, it's going to be expensive for everyone. It will not be a different affair for someone who comes or hails from Western Kenya, hails from Rift Valley or Central or Nyanza or any other part. So today we discuss the politics of the weekend. We look at Nairobi, what is happening, and whether indeed that was a wise move to get Kananu on board, or what it means in regards to ensuring that we uphold the rule of law. Joining me for this conversation, as I had earlier on mentioned, we still maintain Irungu Goko, who's a governance expert. Thank you so much again for sticking around with us. And we'll be having John Kagushia, who is the Speaker of Nyeri County, joining us via Skype, and importantly, Communication Advisor, Dr. Barak Muluka. Good morning, sir. Karibu sana. And I think it's only fair that we look at what happened in Nairobi, because it happened first. I remember on Friday, I was the one who was trying to break that news, because it was, breaking news. And Barak, coming to you, the last time we were here, we're discussing Nairobi. We're trying to say, what might culminate, what might play out, and the likelihoods that Nairobians are not going to go for a by-election. And I remember we had Eric Ragalo, who kept on insisting that, Kananu is the one who's being positioned for this. And we all said, well, we're not going to mention names, but reality is that there's going to be a big game that will be played. Is this a game, or it was the best thing for the people of Nairobi?
Thank you very much, Linda. To start with the second barrel of that question, it's not the best thing for the people of Nairobi, because they have been disenfranchised. But secondly, you will remember that I sat right here where I am, and I told you and the viewers that I could see as clearly as I could see that you are seated there, what was going to happen. And the drama is still unfolding, because Kananu is not the end game. The end game is somebody else who is yet to come. And Kananu has arrived in the imagery of John the Baptist, preparing the way for the Messiah who is to come. Very soon, she's going to be sworn in as the governor of Nairobi, and she will appoint a deputy governor who has already been set aside for her. And when you listen to the way people are talking, you look at the optics, the dynamics, and the gymnastics, it's not difficult to see who that person is. And as soon as that person has been appointed deputy governor, there's every likelihood that Anne Kananu will resign.
And then this
person
ascends.
In the same gymnastics, will become the governor of Nairobi. And he, because I know it will be a he will
appoint a deputy governor,
who then serves alongside himself, and it is the handshake business. When you see some people trying to tag a little bit and telling President Uhuru Kenyatta things like crack the whip, that is part of the blackmail that goes with this. People have now perfected the art of wickedness in politics. And so the people of Nairobi have been disenfranchised. The law has been thrown right through the wind. We have a situation where somebody who has not gone through the process the way it ought to be is going to hold as governor for a while. And the whole process is thoroughly flawed.
Okay.
And it's an abuse of the law. It is political gangsterism.
Well, all this, then Kananu should be having interest, I would want to believe. So why is it that she should be used as, John the Baptist, like you rightfully put it? And what makes you, have the confidence that, again, she will dance to the tune after getting exactly where it is that everyone else would want to get?
If you can move a whole assembly of Nairobi, more than 120,
to unanimously
do what they did, how far easier is it to deal with one individual like Anne Kananu?
Okay.
She's having her day in the sunshine, and I have no doubt in my mind that there are other rewards that we are
will
not
come
seeing.
along with her, for her.
She had just been sworn in. She went to Twitter and she was thanking President Uhuru Kenyatta
and Governor Sonko.
And Governor Sonko, but Governor Sonko was really just a by the way.
Yeah.
Ideally, she was letting the cat out of the bag, out of a certain sense of naivety, because she was not supposed to suggest, even as remotely as possible, that the hidden hand of the president had been there. But through her pronouncements, we can now start understanding what Uhuru Kenyatta means when he tells Kenyans
that I'm in charge.
I'm in charge.
Let's loop in our speaker in Nyeri County. And the swearing in of the Speaker of Nairobi evidently meant that we did not have a governor, we did not have a deputy, and it's not even a week after, and we are treated to a whole different thing. What do you make of this whole process that culminates in Nairobi, and what are the likelihoods that this is going to serve as a huge lesson to other counties?
Well, thank you very much, Linda. I have been vocal and have given my position on this matter, particularly on the issues to do with law. And there are several issues that have been raised, legal issues, which I think are very important if we were to set the right precedence in devolution matter. Because the moment we disobey the law, then at that point you're going to find that we are actually barring the devolution that we have been working so hard to put in place.
Yeah.
As we talk now, we have the proposal to have, or rather we have already sworn in a deputy governor who was not a deputy governor when the governor was impeached. And that in particular is the wrong move, legally speaking. It cannot in any way be supported through our constitution, because a deputy governor comes to deputize a governor who is working. And again, you can't possibly have a deputy governor who is appointed by the Speaker of the County Assembly, and of course the Speaker would also have the mandate, the legal mandate, or the local standard to appoint a governor or a deputy governor when they are in acting capacity. So looking at it legally, there's just no way that you can support what is happening in the county of Nairobi. And this to me is going to be a wrong precedence when it comes to devolution, and is actually tantamount to barring the devolution as we have been working so hard to put it in place.
Yeah.
And I think it is something that we need to be very careful about. It's not anything different from what we are seeing in Nyandarua, where we have seen intrusion of the executive into the county assembly. We have also seen the participation, very active participation of the county commissioner in the county assembly affairs. You see the county commissioner sending police to go and scuttle meetings inside the precincts of the county assembly.
Yeah.
Really is a sacred place for the people of Nyandarua. And really, this is something that as devolution defenders, as people who are in the devolved units, we condemn with the strongest term possible. And we hope that we can have the national government relooking at the approach in which it has in matters legal. And I appreciate very much what Senator Orengo did put across about the obedience of court orders. Because the moment you do not obey the law, then it's a recipe for chaos. We are making this place to be ungovernable in coming days. Imagine if you are to have a leader who is not very, very committed to human rights, and then we have set this kind of precedence, then that means they will take on the mantle and continue, propagating the same precedents that they have had in the past. So I would think that Nairobi County, the only way to salvage the situation, legally speaking, is to have an election conducted. Of course, I know people may have a problem with the issue of costs that are involved in conducting the election. People may also have a challenge with the disorganization that is brought about by a campaign, a political campaign, an active political campaign in the city.
Yeah.
And also how it is likely to distract people from engaging in gainful business activities and economic activities. But again, we put ourselves in this problem by having the governor impeached.
One would look at the process of devolution in the country, and in as much as we'd say we're about 8 years into it, it's still something that we're trying to learn. It's still a process that we're trying to understand, even as we argue that is probably the best thing to do, or the best thing that we ever had as a people, and brings in the question as to whether it is necessary that even as we are on the process of making sure that devolution works, we understand some of the loopholes that come along again with it, and equally what is within the Constitution. On numerous occasions, we've spoken about the interests of the people, and probably the interest of the people of Nairobi in this case then would come out. And we speak of a scenario where many have argued it would be, improper, so to speak, to take Nairobians for a by-election, looking at what we are looking at, or what we are staring at, the fact that we are headed for an election 2022. Others have already concluded that we have a referendum coming our way, and there's no way two ways to that. So it will be like treating the country to 3 elections, in almost 1 year, something that technically would destabilize us. So probably in their own wisdom, it was the best thing to do. And in their own wisdom of getting to understand devolution and getting to address some of these issues and picking lessons that would be used, to address such issues if they occur in other counties. Probably this was the best way to approach things, and probably not treat people to a by-election. Let's allow Goko come in.
Thanks, leader. Let me say what Dr. here is saying is a possible scenario where the governor might appoint a deputy governor, then she resigns. But I had made a Facebook update about it, which is, which was a bit comical, and I thought it's just a constitutional joke because it's practically possible to happen. But in my own thinking, Sonko appointed a deputy governor when he was in office. So the deputy governor was legally in office. Only that there was a court order stopping her from being vetted. Not that she didn't qualify. So if she didn't qualify at the point of appointment, that would have been mean, that now we'd be looking at it from a different perspective of people disobeying the Constitution.
Okay.
But at the point of appointment, Sonko was a governor, and the lady was academically qualified for the appointment, and the appointment was an official appointment. So the court case did not disqualify her from becoming the deputy governor unless there is another sitting deputy governor.
Alive to all these facts, why did they then swear in the speaker?
Her coming in, now the speaker was sworn in because the court case was still the court case was still underway.
Now this is the kind of confusion.
Yeah, the court case was still underway.
All right.
So the speaker could not have waited until until this person went and withdrew the case.
Okay.
So that means now, after the withdrawal, there was no election yet. If the case was withdrawn after the election of the governor, so it could have practically meant that it doesn't matter whether she's, as in like another county administration would have been in place.
Okay.
But before another county administration came into place, the whole case was, the case was withdrawn, and she was vetted by the county assembly, and she qualified. They voted for her. We cannot be talking about the rule of law when it favors us, and the rule of law when, we cannot be supporting the law when it's, they say, law ni msumeno, inakata ikienda na ikirudi. So Kananu is in office legally.
Oh.
As a deputy governor.
All right, you can come in, Barak.
I need to correct that position.
She's not. Let's give the governor
the
first.
Okay. Yes, Speaker.
I need to correct that position. I think Mr. Goko needs to understand how these things work. Because I think he is completely out of sync with the devolution laws.
Right.
When the governor did nominate Kananu, that was a proposal. It was a nomination. So the governor nominated the deputy governor at that point in time when the governor was in office. And then the deputy governor was supposed to, when we have gone through this process in Nyeri County twice, the governor is then supposed to propose this name to the county assembly. And the county assembly will then go through the process of vetting. They will go through the process of public participation. They will go through the process of debate in the county assembly, and then they will put a vote, and only after the vote can they recommend the name to the governor for appointment.
Okay.
And at that point is when the governor will go and gazette the name and have this appointment now gazetted as the official deputy governor or the duly appointed and somehow elected, because the process has also to go through IEBC, it has also to go through the political party. So the person has also to be cleared by the political party. So all these processes are what was pending by the time the governor was impeached. As to how all these processes have been conducted within that short period of time, and then how did we then have the appointment of the deputy governor, because what we had was a proposal, was a nomination. How did we have this appointment? Did the speaker have the legal mandate to appoint the deputy governor? It's very important to distinguish these processes and to understand at what point do we do what. And if you look at even the issue of public participation, at what point did the county assembly do public participation?
All right.
The appointment of this deputy governor. Whichever way you look at it, this cannot pass in legal spheres at all. It cannot pass.
Cannot pass, but it has passed. Let's allow Barak to come in. Yes.
You see, the issue of passing in courts really it doesn't mean that it is legally binding. It doesn't mean that it is legally right to have done that. And that is where we are saying, let us strictly observe the law. And if you do that, it's going to help us a lot. Because you see, as you put clearly, it's not desirable for people of Nairobi to have an election now. But remember, we initiated this impeachment ourselves. This impeachment would have been done a few months after, like it would have been done in February or in March this year, so that then the election of the governor of Nairobi can be combined together with the referendum vote.
Right.
And then that would have saved the people of Nairobi cost. So really, it's clear that the people who did initiate this issue of impeachment had of course in mind an idea of not ever conducting an election in Nairobi, and they of course had their calculation. As you can look at it, is a well-schemed, well orchestrated, approach on having a deputy governor. In fact, we are told the deputy governor we are having now, who is probably going to be the governor, we are told there are going to be more other interesting things that you're going to be seeing ahead of in this week or even in coming weeks.
Yes, and probably as fast as possible, because then this also seeks to counter any person or any individual who'd want to go and challenge this process in court.
These things, Linda, first, they are separate processes. Some of them may be related or have shades of relatedness, but they are different. When we talk about the election of a governor for Nairobi, we talk about a probable referendum, and we talk about a general election. They are flowing in three separate streams.
Right.
And the price of democracy and good governance is heavy. We need not illusion ourselves about that. But and I disagree completely with my brother and neighbor Rongo here when he tries to justify the unjustifiable. There is no right way of doing a wrong thing. There's no right way of doing an illegal thing. There's the principle of inchoate processes in law. Inchoate processes, these are processes that are incomplete at the moment that a major development, such as the impeachment of a governor, takes place. That means that all the processes that he had begun of such a nature as appointing a deputy governor rest dead. The moment that he is impeached, those processes also end. And it's purely on the basis of this that the Speaker of the Assembly was sworn in as governor in acting capacity. The understanding in law was that there was no deputy governor anywhere on the scene. And therefore, this person is to hold that office for 60 days. Now look,
it's not even 60 days.
The appointment of governor is also a properly legally documented process. That after everything else has been satisfied, then the governor, who is actually in office at that time, must appoint the deputy governor in writing and also place the seal of the office of governor on the appointing documents. Who is going to do that?
Nobody.
The acting governor? Where is he going to derive the mandate to do that? And then what happens to him after that? Does he wither away like the Marxist state and make room for this other person to become governor? Which law are we applying in this context? The rule of law is very important. What they are trying to do is something which lawyers call rule by law. And we have had scholars talk about what they call the post-democracy age. And we are living here in Kenya in the post-democracy age. The post-democracy age is where you behave in a manner that looks democratic, that you are manipulating the law and manipulating democratic institutions to give a semblance of legality to that which you are doing. But just scratched slightly beneath the surface, it's pruriently illegal. Finally, Linda, this is a very dangerous precedent in the extreme, and every Kenyan must stand up and condemn it. In the extreme, in the sense that going forward, we can go to an election, we come from that election. If in a number of counties we are unhappy with the governors who are there, we can initiate processes that mirror what we are seeing in Nairobi today, and we can end up installing extra-legally arriving governors. And that is not what the framers of our constitution had in mind. It's unacceptable.
Well, okay. Yes, we close it with you on this one of Nairobi as we await to see again what will happen and just how much the Nairobians are going to receive this. It's not been an easy one, but the question then is, why is it that we have individuals that genuinely argue that this is not legally right, condemn it properly, but there's really nothing much that is being done to overturn the entire thing that played out on Friday?
Let me say, my friend speaker and doctor here, all of us are interpreting the law based on our own understanding. This is the first scenario where we have such a situation. There's NMS in place, there's an acting governor, and there's a nominated deputy governor. This is the first scenario we are looking at as at now.
Right.
And I think in the wisdom of government, they were able to, maybe the AG and the legal advisors were able to see that it can go either way.
Linda, we can't call that wisdom, eh?
Yes.
But let him proceed.
Would you suggest that it was wise to go for an election, for a by-election before we come back to him? Yes.
If it's wisdom, then it is wicked and perverted wisdom. It is
for political purpose. For political purpose.
Political or
for
stability.
Political purpose,
or
everybody can argue based on what they would have intended to see.
Yes.
This is legal.
Yeah.
It's about the law.
The law.
I would like Irungu to tell me what happens to the speaker who is now acting governor. Does he appoint?
Yes, he appointed CCs.
Does he appoint? That one is allowed by law.
Yes.
So
we can give you the specific article and item of the law that provides that
Is
mandate.
there an article that stops him from swearing in or from, is there an article that stops us from having the deputy governor sworn in?
Now that is what I mean when I say perverted
Exactly,
wisdom,
because that,
intelligence,
that scenario is open.
Perverted wickedness, perverted wisdom, wicked cleverness. You know, cleverness can be...
It's not wicked. No. Where you're looking at it from, but it's not.
Speaker, I know you probably...
Where you're looking at it.
Let's loop in the speaker. He probably could be having so much wisdom and knowledge of what is in the Constitution in regards to all these processes. Do you suppose there's some level of loophole that I know stands or sits in this, and some that probably would say this is what has landed us where we are today?
No, not really, but I would first of all want to caution my friend Irungu that you not cast aspersions, because the way he puts it, like we want to look at this issue politically, or we are trying to interpret this issue politically. If we were politically interpreting this issue, probably would be arriving at a different conclusion altogether, because he doesn't know where our, like, my political inclination would be. If I was to politically interpret, maybe I would interpret it in more deeper ways, and I would even have more reasons to probably justify it, even more than he is doing. But now here we are talking about legal issues, and there is completely no lacuna in this. There is no loophole. This is a case where we have decided to go against what is indicated in our Constitution. We have completely closed our eyes to an existing law, to the constitutional provisions. And that is why most of us who do respect our Constitution and the laws that we have, and who think that if we continue with that trend, then it means within no time, we are likely to plunge ourselves into a deeper crisis. That's why we must talk and give guidance, and we must also remain true to ourselves. We must also remain true to our nation, and we must remain true to the Constitution of this Republic of Kenya. And that is why it's important to point out issues as they are. So in this case, we don't have a loophole at all. The Constitution guides us on how a deputy governor is nominated, elected. The Constitution guides us on how a governor is removed from office, and even how a governor is installed in office. That is clearly indicated. So by avoiding to go through that process, particularly by avoiding to go through an election in this case, we are not in the right side of the law. And if you are to even start a little bit further away from where we are now, ask yourself how the governor of Nairobi was actually removed from office. You know,
yes.
And at that point, you are likely to come up with even a more interesting conclusion, because we, for example, removed him from online. We had a vote which was contested online. If you are to look at how Governor Waititi was also removed from office, there is of course the issue of, was it 56 MCAs who removed it, or was it 62 MCAs? How many MCAs were required to do so? If you are to look at what is happening now in the Nyandarua County Assembly, we require 30 MCs to remove a speaker. But in this case, you want to hound out a speaker out of the office when you do not even have the 20, even the 30.
Threshold, okay.
You're falling from that threshold by far. It is these acts of impunity that must be condemned and that must be discouraged at every opportunity available. Because if that continues, then I am telling you, because I've keenly been observing devolution. In fact, I'm coming up with my own analysis and very well compiled and researched mantra on how devolution has been from the time we began. And these are some of the dark spots that we are already seeing. And this is where then we need to speak so that we can avoid them. If we can avoid them, let's do so that then we can have a clear case of a devolved system that is working. Because if we do this, then we might be well-meaning. We might be wanting to help and save the economic activities of our people in the city.
All right.
But again, are we anchoring devolution for future and for posterity?
Well,
what happens when you have leadership in this country probably that will not be very friendly? So I want to be very clear on this. It is not out of political inclination or thinking, but really it is a sincere and very objective approach on a legal analysis of what is happening at the moment.
Okay, the grid that comes along with this and the numerous parties that were out there to field their own candidates. We witnessed UDA, being launched officially and, almost in lightning speed, setting up their own preferred candidate for this. And numerous other parties, Third Way Alliance, went all the way to Canada to source for Miguna's services in this particular case. It probably blinds us to, getting to have healthy conversations as to how this would have been conducted anyway, because we agree that it's a first scenario and we probably are supposed to pick lessons and to, delicately handle the whole entire thing. And as much as we all agree that it has been enshrined on law, looking at all the UDA move and all that, what do you suppose could be their strategy, even as, evidently the likes of Jubilee, evidently the likes of ODM were not so vocal, in trying to clinch this?
I do not know what their strategies would be, but I'm aware that the constitution of this country
allows
latitude in circumstances such as this for virtually anybody, including any citizen, to go to court to seek redress on such matters. But I think it also is important to point out that it doesn't matter who the candidates may be. It doesn't matter which political parties are fronting who. I personally, as Barack, do not even agree that I would support some of the people I have seen being fronted to take over from Sonko. And even as Barack, I have never supported Mike Gideon Mbuvi Sonko for governor of Nairobi. Being a Nairobian who was born and bred in this city and who has known the glorious days that this city had in the past, in the 60s and 70s and 80s when I was growing up, that would not be my kind of governor. But I don't agree about the manner in which he was bundled out and about the manner in which we are trying to then have him replaced, because it is not about Sonko. For all his cluelessness and for all his clownishness, it is not about him. It's not even about some of the new clowns that some people are trying to also line up to take over from him. And I do not agree that they would necessarily save the city. But there is a bigger thing, which is the rule of law, which is the franchise of the people, which is the democratic tradition that we are killing. And I would implore the president to explain to Kenyans whether this is what he means when he tells us that he is in charge.
He's in almost all the Mount Kenya region stations, of Vernacular station. to probably address the nation in regards to this. Do you suppose then we're going to get so much out of all this? Because, you know, we have to match up. The world is listening, you know, even the few who do not understand are eagerly waiting, yes.
The president is head of state, so he's in charge. Whether he says it or not, he's in charge. He's the head of state, so he doesn't need to talk about it. Okay, once in a while he reminds, you know, even an elder like Mzee here, once in a while he reminds us, I'm your elder. So not that we don't know it, but it's human nature to be reminded that I'm the head of state.
Okay.
So what the president is doing is he's watching two scenarios unfold. That is the government of the day and the government of 2020, post-2022 election. It's very common in a succession scenario. And for this one, he's looking at the future of the nation as well. So I get where he's coming from. He wants people who have been the dominant nations, economically, politically, to understand that the country has grown from when Tarmac would get to Nanyuki, now to Moyare, where Tarmac would get to Kitale, now it's up to going to Lodwar, towards Dadaab. You know, from where TV was under a preserve of Nairobi, now it's a basic tool of communication across the country. Some of us are yet to come to terms with those things. And I think the president is, like my friend Woodboy would say, the president is ahead of many of us in terms of these matters. And when you are able to drive to Garissa without fearing of being attacked, just because a tarmac has been put into place, then somebody who was in Garissa 10 years ago may not have a clear picture of that. And I repeat from experience, even if today you go online and you searched Marsabit town, some of the articles still read that the town is full of camels. But if you went to Marsabit town now, the town is a highway with street lights.
Is that to say that you're confident of the kind of development that we have seen today from the Jubilee government, that you support that it has done well in terms of, you know, service delivery, in terms of, getting development to be realized for the people?
For us to grow politically, we must agree that the economics of the nation must lead, then the politics follow.
The president himself acknowledges that really so much that he would have wished to do has not happened. And so that's a clear indication that even the person at the top of the helm agrees that we have derailed in terms of, making gains and all this. Right now, this is what he says. My most important thing to do right now is my job. We stop politicking and personal politics. That is what he says. I don't know whether he is genuine with that. And that is, of course, focusing on a BBI. That is what he says. He says Mount Kenya people should not allow themselves to be confused by few individuals.
I support him because the president had nothing to lose bringing in NASA into the table to talk. He was already the president, sworn in, had a cabinet in place, 1 year running the government. If he didn't have a personal, if all that mattered for him is being a president, he was already there. But now he looked at it from what he said, that Mount Kenya, and let me use that term he has used. Mount Kenya must understand that we are no longer the people who runs the show like it was sometimes back. Every community today has a tycoon. Every community today has tarmac. Every community today has education. Every county has a university or a college. So those days that we thought Mount Kenya, everything started and ends with us, must come to an end in all aspects, in all spheres. Fine, we have our numbers to vote, but we do not have the 24 counties that we need.
Hold it right there. Do we still have the speaker on board? Speaker, are you there? I guess we lost the speaker, but all the same, let's come to you. You're there?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
All right, if what the DP says is anything to go by, he argues that the handshake, or the coming in of the likes of Right Honorable Raila Odinga have in a huge way, or has in a huge way altered the performance of the Jubilee. So I still insist that the people at the top of the helm maintain that they have not done well in terms of governance, in terms of development, or if they have, then probably they would have expected to do better. Do you agree with what Erongo argues, that indeed we've witnessed so much development and we should celebrate that? Should we sit pretty at that and say that, you know what, if these leaders exit the stage today, then they will have done us justice as a people?
Well, I do not have so much complaints about at least the performance of the government in terms of development projects that we have witnessed across the country. And it's something that personally, I think as a country we can celebrate, at least in terms of infrastructural programs that we have seen. And you start from coast all the way to Nyanza, all the way to western, to eastern, to northeastern. And part of this has happened because of devolution and having upheld devolution and channeling so much money into the devolved units. And of course, a lot of other infrastructure development has also happened from the national government, which largely has also been supported by our borrowing abroad. And we have done so well so far in terms of development, I would say. But then there are other areas of the economy that have also suffered during the same time. For example, like the microeconomy for the wananchi has, for some reason, suffered because of various reasons. Of course, sometimes it could actually be the taxation that has been in place because of supporting the borrowing that we have with the international donors. And that sometimes can have an effect of slowing down the economy for the common mwananchi. But largely, I think we have done well. Probably where the handshake may have altered our governance in this country is where we lost the voice of opposition. And once you have given government too much power and there is no opposition, then there's a likelihood that some of the things that would have been done better may not be done in such a way. And for example, like now we have been arguing about the issue of rule of law, and largely there has not been any voice that is putting this across. So you'll find that a lot of the people who are actually in government, who are supposed to be guided and pressured to follow the rule of law, actually some of them who are actually now becoming the voice themselves from within the government, where they also find themselves in the wrong side of politics. But remember, we do not need to have that kind of a subjective approach. What we need to have is a clear opposition that clearly checks government right from the word go. And that way, a government which is put in check can deliver even much more.
Interesting to note, Speaker, is that as many would have argued, the opposition itself is within government today. Just pick some of the words of the president this morning. He says, they're telling you this thing, that is the BBI, belongs to Raila. But if money comes to, for example, Kirinyaga County, who is Raila's neighbor in Kirinyaga, that is what he is asking. Let us focus on what will protect your children and your children's children. I am not forcing you to be with me, but don't trust anyone blindly. The money they, my opponents, steal daily is over, said the 2 billion cost of the referendum. Now, these people, that is my political opponents, are disingenuous, and this is what the president says. We are yet to know how much the BBI referendum will cost. We are yet to reach that stage. And numerous other things that he is speaking about. Do not be cheated with tall tales. They stand on top of cars and hurl insults. Insults don't endure. Truth does. Any truth that will...
The truth be told, the president, His Excellency, the president, is himself disingenuous. And sometimes we use big words like disingenuous so that we leave the audience behind. Disingenuous simply means hypocritical. It means dishonest.
Yeah.
You are talking about a referendum process, which you are telling us is good for us, and you have not costed it. We don't even know how much it is going to cost us. Just the process itself, you have not costed it in terms of when we begin implementing it. When we are going to have 70 new members of parliament, when we are going to have the expanded executive, we have not been told about that. His Excellency, the President, is being disingenuous when he tells us that there are people who are stealing billions of shillings every day. And at the same time, he's telling us that he's in charge in this country. When he's in charge in this country, we have put him there so that he's the ultimate prefect. His government should arrest these thieves who are stealing billions every day so that they are arraigned before the courts and they are sent to jail where thieves belong. You cannot be the head of state, head of government, like my good friend Mr. Irungu here says, and you join us, the citizens, in lamenting about thieves, some of whom you are saying are within your own government. What are you doing about that? You cannot be that lamenting president. It's also true that what we are witnessing today is competition between what is called old money and new money. Old money is money whose owners, visible owners that we see today, have inherited from some places in social science. New money is money that the people we are seeing with seem to have made themselves. Now, in this country, if it is true, as we are hearing, that they are thieves, and that to be rich you must be a thief, then we must have a national conference on wealth. We must have a national conference where all the rich people in this country tell us where they have got the money that they have. That is what we mean when we say you are now not being disingenuous, you are being honest. We perhaps need even a conference of thieves, like the ones that Ngugi wa Thiong'o gives us in the book titled Devil on the Cross, and which he first published in Gikuyu as Shaitani Mudharabaini, so that each of these thieves can tell us where he has got his money.
We could not manage a lifestyle audit.
Yeah, because it is wrong to keep on telling us every day that there's a thief there, and this thief here is standing on top of a stolen car. You must also tell us, and if it is money you have inherited, we also need to know where your progenitors got that money that you inherited. These things must be discussed. You know, now as Barack, at 60 years plus, I call it the way
it is.
It is. The only assignment left for me in this country is to tell Kenyans the truth until the day I drop dead.
Well,
so they are beneficiaries of old money, which could be stolen money, and which we need to know about.
If all this was stolen,
they are beneficiaries of new money, which could also be stolen money, and we need to know about all of these money.
You probably have had this narrative, you know what, let's bring him on board because he has his own money. He probably is not going to steal more from us. Let's bring him on board because he comes from a rich family, and therefore he will not have that, desire to go out there and quench his own, thirst in terms of getting money or fleecing the taxpayers' money. And true to it, probably we would not really have so much of an issue if these individuals were doing justice to the people in terms of us realizing, developments out of the tax that we pay, out of, the monies that we borrow. If we borrow and we are able to sustain the debt, we borrow and we can see development coming out. We can see this money in circulation and this money being used, in right channels and all that. But such is not what we witness today. Would you agree with what it is that the Speaker and what Irungu speak of, that indeed, in as much as we would want to point a finger at the Jubilee government, it has done so much in terms of getting us from point A to point B? Would you arguably say that President Uhuru Kenyatta is probably amongst the best, or maybe one of the best president that we've ever gotten in comparison to the others that were there then?
In terms of the macro indicators, and I have the privilege Unlike my friends here, they are talking about things they read
They have
about
only read.
in books and what they have been told.
Yes.
Jomo Kenyatta died when I was 20 years old,
Is
a
it
heartbeat
so?
away from the University of Nairobi,
Okay.
and therefore I can speak about this country from a position of an eyewitness account. So from the level of macro indicators, the physical things that we can see with the eyes and count with our fingers, I think that there is no gainsaying the fact that we see more development now than we have ever seen before. And I think it is a factor of devolution which the Jubilee government has attempted to reluctantly implement. Reluctantly in the sense that we could be doing even better. There are budget lines which are still sitting with the national government and which ought to be already with the devolved government. There are budget lines, for example, in the health ministry, which remains very much the same as they were in the old days. But it is true that if you go even to villages such as Manyudia, where I come from, you can now see some tarmac passing through that village. We can see lighting in the night at the marketplace. We can see that security has increased. It is true that you get to little places all over the country, shopping centers, and you can see street lights. You can see that the countryside is transforming. People have got electricity in their houses, even in semi-permanent houses, that there is security lighting in those homes, that there are even garden lightings that villagers are experimenting with. That said and done, we cannot rest on our laurels and start saying that this is enough, because as I have said on this show before, if you are running in a race of tortoises and you are the lead tortoise, you still remain a tortoise. You must accept to get out of that race of tortoises and move forward. And this country has got the capacity to do so. And finally, Linda, Rongo here posits an argument that kills itself. The argument springs from all this that we are saying, that we are seeing some semblance of transformation everywhere in the country. If indeed we are seeing that semblance of transformation everywhere in the country, why does it become so important that the head of state should come from my tribe? I cannot eat the head of state. Martin Shikuku, who used to be our MP in Butere, taught us many years ago that we cannot eat the head of state, but we can eat the things which the head of state causes to come to us. And therefore, if there's another Kikuyu president who is a fair president, who follows the rule of law, who is fair to all his or her subjects across the country, I do not care that he or she is Kikuyu. When I'm given the schedule of people to vote for, I will vote for that president. And I've voted for a Kikuyu president before, when there were other names that I could have ethnically aligned myself towards voting for.
All right, well, that's an interesting one, but we're not closing it at that. We have about 5 minutes or so. Politics of realignment, politics of, looking at just how best are you going to position yourself as we get to close this. And we've seen these individuals who are realigning themselves. We've seen Isaac Ruto joining the URP bandwagon, or better say the UDA bandwagon. I do not know how much he has to bring on board, or is it fear that, when we're talking about this particular tribe, then he will be rooted out if he sticks to his, Chama cha Mashinani or something of the sort. it. We have seen the likes of Kangata, while they could be vocal in terms of addressing issues that are of concern, many look at that as a way of these people positioning themselves. We have seen so many characters. We've seen, others defecting from the Kieleweke aspect to this other side of Tanga Tanga, and so much so that is happening. Healthy move, and we're likely to experience some more of this?
Yes, thanks a lot, Elda, for that, at least like appreciating academic knowledge. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at the US election, that maybe is used as a parameter of democracy in the world, there are states that no matter how good you are as a Democrat, you won't be voted in by the people because it's termed a Republican stronghold. That's a whole state. There are states that it's known to be, even when you people are analyzing, all of us analyzing the elections, we knew now the states we are waiting for are Democrat stronghold, Republican stronghold. What I would wish us as a generation to move from is the tribal aspect of it, but also acknowledge that the region politics are here to stay with us. South Africa, which is used maybe as a parameter of advanced democracy in Africa, they have ANC strongholds, they have the other parties stronghold. It's basically human. It's basically human. Realignment, what I'm waiting to see is how UDA will take the Nakuru by-elections, because yesterday they had a meeting. The deputy party leader for Jubilee hosted UDA aspirants. Yet Jubilee party has aspirants in the same words. It's a, it's a scenario that is coming out clear that even if he doesn't speak about it, even if he talks about it, it's already showing itself that he's no longer in the Jubilee party.
What of the ones who did the same in Kibra?
In Kibra, exactly. Exactly. So it is a precedence that we have bathed ourselves. And like I said, sheria ni msumeno inakata ikienda na ikirudi. For Kibra, it favored Jubilee. It favored Jubilee. Na some of the would call the Kieleweke side of Jubilee. Now, what I'm against is what we call the self-seeking politics. When it favors you, you wake up and say, Mimi ni wa Jubilee, when it doesn't favor you. But when it favors you, you come and you say, kazi ni kujipanga. So that up and down, that juggling of I am this, today, Daktari have talked about the chameleon, the tortoise. Allow me to talk about the chameleons. You cannot be changing colors based on where you are stepping on.
And that should apply across the board.
Exactly.
For the president and his deputy, and for people in the opposition, everybody. We actually obtain in a chameleonic dispensation where we cannot tell those who are in government, we cannot tell those who are in the opposition. No, we can't. Yesterday, Israel Odinga, for example, in government or in opposition? In the opposition.
He is in opposition, but he for me, I hold Raila is in opposition. But he knows if he approach opposition in Kenya using the past scenarios, it will be chaotic. Then why would the DP who is in government then point a finger at Raila to say, and I'm wondering what has Raila done, because running a government includes budget, cabinet, and assembly and all that.
If he's taking a different approach, then why is it then that he's again reprimanding the government for having failed?
That's the question the deputy president should tell Kenyans. That we had this budget, Raila said no. We had this cabinet, Raila came and asked for positions. And even when they were launching BBI 2, he spoke on the microphone and he said, hakuna cabinet minister nimesema nipewe. So he has not dismantled the cabinet, he has not dismantled the executive. He has just, in fact, we should be appreciating that we moved from the Maandamano Monday and all those resist movements to a peaceful nation that we can be able to transverse and do business across the country.
Is that all we wanted?
When you are
We're coming to you, Speaker.
a de facto co-president, you did not need to be given a cabinet position. Raila Odinga was appointed to some amorphous position by the African Union. Do we ever hear about him doing?
But we've seen
Once in a blue moon, we have reported on that.
I'll come to Kalonzo,
yes,
including him saying things like the Akamba are under attack, and yet he wants to become the president of this country, and which must cause us to really fear for this country, because this is a senior politician who has
was
been
an
in
position on
parliament
peace and all that.
1985, when he first went to parliament. He has served as a vice president and occupied some very senior positions in the land, and he is going back to the village, and he's telling the villagers that we need to lock out other tribes from this place because we, the Akamba people, are under attack. He asked President Uhuru Kenyatta to make him one of his spanner boys. And he was given something in South Sudan. I don't know where.
How far? He was there the other day.
He's sitting. But this is a very unique situation in which people in the opposition pray for positions in power. And quite often we have seen the ODM brigade coming to work with the Jubilee Brigade or Kieleweke, that strand of it, to take very key decisions on where the country should go. And therefore, even when we have things like COVID-19, and we have allegations coming from none other than the cabinet secretary in charge of the Ministry of Health, that they are thieves, including in Afya House and in Kemsa. The first people to come out to say that no, there are no such thieves, the person in government, the chief steward in Afya House, is telling us that kuna wezi hapa, pesa zinaibiwa. Na mtu anatoka nje kwa ODM ndio wako kwa mstari wa mbele to tell the republic that no, someone is just playing politics. They are in government.
They are in government. Well, evidently, as you have heard, who is in government, who's out of government is one thing that we do not understand today. We do not know whether the DP is in government or he is not in government, but at least from what Barack says, ODM is in government. And as the president would say, I've never said I'm fighting anyone's 2020. ODM is in Kenya?
Yeah, ODM
not
is
in government,
Kenya,
really?
not in government.
All right, well, Speaker, as we call it a day.
Yeah, well, I think what we are seeing in terms of the alignment now is a situation where people are looking keenly on the 2022 elections. And as it were, the two leading candidates are Honorable Raila Odinga and His Excellency, the Deputy President, Bwana Ruto.
We have the others like Mudavadi in waiting. We have Gideon Moi on the sideshows. They are eagerly waiting to be endorsed.
Politically speaking, those are the two leading horses. Any other thing would be a donkey in this race.
All right.
And what has happened is that as of now, Raila Odinga has realized that Ruto has really covered ground, politically speaking. And Raila has been relying on the BBI and has been waiting on His Excellency the President to hold him and somehow help him to capture the position in 2022. Now, with time, I think Raila Odinga is becoming a bit disillusioned when he realizes that there seems to be a bit of hiccups and handles when it comes to the Central Kenya and Mount Kenya politics. And for this reason, Raila Odinga is becoming very, very impatient. And what we are likely to see happening is that as we move forward now, we are likely to see a more robust Raila Odinga who is going to come out of his cocoon now and who is going to become a little bit more real and start asking very serious questions as to whether His Excellency the President will actually in the first place be concerned about the succession politics once he is done with his term. And Raila Odinga has been relying a little bit much more on the BBI process, which he hopes to draw resources from the national government to make his rounds around the country. And for sure, that is likely to work for him in that regard.
All right.
But again, the question he's also asking himself, am I doing this a little bit too late? Or should I have started a little bit earlier with this process? And that is where we are. And so Raila Odinga is now doing a catch-up game. And I'm now doing this much more from a political analysis perspective. And now with his impatience, he's also asking his principal or co-principal as to what help are you offering me in this. And that is why I want to believe His Excellency the President is now coming out like what he's doing today, addressing us through our vernacular radio stations, to try and also show His Excellency Raila Odinga that he's also doing something, because he has been accused that he's not coming out to campaign for
so we
Raila
get the
Odinga
answers of these.
You know, I know sometimes there's even the question as to whether,
as we close it, yes.
Yeah, there's that serious commitment as to the issue of BBI and all that. So really, I can only look at it politically and try to do some political analysis here and see why is it that we are seeing what we are seeing today. And we are likely to see more of this. By the time we are getting to July, August, people are likely to start throwing caution out to the wind.
As many would have argued, we probably are waiting to hear who the president is going to front, or whether he's going to be him himself anyway, because there's talk of change of a constitution. It is really, really interesting to watch, and we'll be here to keep you up to speed. I'll wind up with what the president has said. Waendelee kunitusi, lakini wajue Simba amenyeshewa na sio paka. And he's actually spoken about Sonko. He says alisaidia huyu kijana Sonko to get to the top of the helm that is in Nairobi. So much is happening, and I guess
now we know why we had a clown for a governor.
But you know,
ouch.
but you see,
it wasn't the vote of the people?
No, he has admitted.
Yes, he has admitted. And then
why
we are closing up,
we,
gentlemen.
Yes, sorry, Daktari. Why are we blind to the political process of democracy?
Okay.
Why are we?
It's not a democracy, it's called ochlocracy.
Okay, whichever the way we look at
stands
it.
for what?
Whichever we look at it. I'm trying to avoid, like you said, those big words.
Let's close it.
Speaker is saying that the president is speaking in vernacular station because of BBI and Raila.
Mary is...
The president has been speaking in vernacular station for the rest I can remember, for the longest I can remember.
Before.
He's done that 1,001,001 times. Just because the topic of the day is BBI doesn't mean that he has done it for the first time.
One would ask why after that letter from Irungu Kangata, why at this particular, after that push from...
Hata mzee, watoto wakiwa sawa, he doesn't keep on disturbing them.
Thank you so much. So we'll start from there next time. Thank you so much, Dr. Barak Muluka, Communication Advisor, and Irungu Goko, Governance Expert right here in studio, and joining us via Skype, or who was with us via Skype, John Kagushia, Speaker, Nyeri County. It was good having you, gentlemen. We close it at that. We are crossing over to a different conversation altogether. That is on matters of nutrition. It's been an exciting morning. That's why sometimes you can get a bit of a tongue twister, but all the same, after this break with more. Thank you. Thank you.
When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant and the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant and the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant and the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophie's.
Healthy eating is one of the key components of healthy living. And so today we discuss how best you ensure that you eat healthy, and then after eating healthy, you know that another component that sits within this is just to ensuring that, disposal of waste out of your body is, well done proper. Then that will guarantee you a beautiful body, a beautiful skin, a healthy you. And that's what we'll be discussing this morning. That is in regards to natural methods of detox. That is, just a way of letting go of waste out of your body, in a proper way. That again would mean when you get to incorporate more into your body, then it distributes well to different parts and, serves the purpose. So joining us for this conversation, remember it is Monday. It is Nutritional Monday. Is Dr. Rose John, who's a nutritionist, and expounds some more on this. The other time we had her, we had some bit of theory aspect of just getting to understand how best you can eat healthy. And so today we are at that practical aspect of detox. Natural detox for that matter. You probably have heard about detox. I mean, left, right, and center, everyone talks about this. And we keep asking ourselves, does it even work? Is it proper for us to detox? What then does it come with as a benefit of healthy living and healthy eating? Dr. Rose, good to have you.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Nice to be here.
Yes, and our set looks very beautiful. When you see oranges, when you see mangoes, when you see fruits in general, you suddenly know that it's all about eating healthy and enjoying the moment. So what do you prepare for us this morning?
Okay, today we are going to talk about the detox and the methods we use to detox the body.
Yes.
And maybe getting rid of waste sitting in our bodies. And in another word, we can say having an internal bath. Because most of the time you wake up in the morning, you have external bath, and you think things are okay.
Right.
But inside, there are waste sitting in the system, which are causing you to be diseased. So before we start about how to detox, we need to know why we need to detox.
Yes.
So when you start eating food, the first time you start eating food, you take it into your body, it goes to the stomach. Digestion starts in the mouth, then it goes to the stomach.
Right.
The food mixes with the digestive fluid. Then it goes to the small intestines where we have villi. So the work of villi is to absorb minerals and vitamins from the food you have taken to the blood, to the cells. Then the waste will go to the descending colon. So most of the time when we're eating food, because we are not eating food from the mother nature, we are eating food which is, I can call it man-made food.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, what happens? When this food gets into the system, it starts rotting, decomposing. It starts ferment. It will ferment at the end of the day. Because this kind of food, when you eat food, how many hours does it take in the system? Most of the people doesn't think about it. When I take a fruit or a vegetable or grains and legumes, how many hours does it sit in our bodies? So the first time you take a fruit sits in our bodies for 3 hours.
Okay.
1 hour in the stomach, 1 hour in the small intestine, 1 hour in the descending colon, and then you eliminate the waste. When you take vegetables, they sit in our system for 6 hours.
Okay.
2 hours in the stomach, 2 hours in the small intestines, and 2 hours in the descending colon as you wait to feel for a call. Another thing, grains, legumes, that is bread, rice, lentils, green grams, beans, maize, they sit in our colon for 18 hours. So they take 6 hours in the stomach, 6 hours in the small intestines, and then 6 hours in the descending colon.
Okay.
So when you start eating from morning to evening, you see these hours now. When you put a new thing, for example, you have taken breakfast this morning, you have taken rice, maybe with vegetables, or you have taken tea with hamburger, or anything else people take in the morning, and bread.
Yeah.
Then in between, before lunchtime, people snacks. So what will the body do? It will respond to the nature. How does it respond to the nature? It will stop digesting what you put in the morning.
Right.
And it won't remove it as waste or as stool. It will just put it aside and it will start digesting what you have put inside new. So you can imagine from morning to evening how people eat. They keep eating. So what do? We make our bodies to become dump sites.
Okay, hold it right there. You speak of the fact that nowadays, well, in most cases, we do not eat healthy. We do not eat the right, nutrients that we'd want to get. And if they are, then you call them artificial. So in a scenario where one is disciplined enough to just get the natural foods, the fresh foods, the right foods, does it then call for one to get to a point where they would detox their body?
Yes. Because one thing...
After all, it's waste.
After all, it's waste.
Okay.
And another thing, we have pesticides, herbicides.
All right.
The environment is toxinated too. You see what we breathe every day, what we drink every day. The water is full of chlorine, is full of fluoride. You see what we use to brush our teeth, our cosmetics, personal use. You see, all this is full of toxins.
Okay.
And they get absorbed through our skin. They get absorbed when we inhale them. And this one causes problems in our body. So even if you are eating right, you need to cleanse the system.
All right.
Because there will still remain, there is toxins in the system, or what we call metabolic waste in the colon. So when the body gets overloaded, when this thing stays in your colon, they go to the small intestine. You have taken food, it goes to the stomach, to the small intestines. That is where they sit for long. Because you have eaten sticky food, we call it food, but in the real sense, it's not food. In the mother nature, it's not food. Because it's not natural. It's not from the garden to your plate.
Right.
It is from the garden to the factory, to the shop, to your plate. So with this long process, there is this refination of the food. There is this, we call empty calories. We are taking a lot of empty calories in our junk foods we take every day, in the refined foods we take every day.
All right.
So whatever you eat every day, it sticks in the lining of the colon. Because it sits for many hours and you are overeating, you are keeping eating every time. So when it sits in the small intestines, and here, McHugh, it's where we have the villi that absorbs minerals and vitamins to the blood. So what sticks here, when you take white flour or white chapatis or white bread, it has glue. That's what we call it, gluten. So this glue, when it sticks on the lining of the colon, it sticks every kind of food that you eat. So what happens, because of body temperature, it will decompose. Anything decomposing, we have byproducts.
Right.
It will create gas, acid, bad smell. And that's why if you sit with somebody in a car, and then it happens that he has a bad breath or she has a bad breath, you feel like, I'm not comfortable.
Okay.
But the person doesn't know that she has or he has that smell unless you tell her. This happens because when the food rots, when the food ferments, what are the byproducts?
Okay.
It will create fungus, bacteria, viruses, and germs.
So this is what causes bad breath. This is what it probably causes, that aspect where someone feels like, they are clogged up, their stomach is clogged up, maybe an extreme aspect of having, your body not in the best shape in terms of also having a big stomach, which is something most of the people tend to fight with. Is this what causes that?
Exactly. We call it halitosis.
Okay.
Halitosis is bad smell. When you have bad smell, we say the gastrointestinal tract from here to the back, it is connected. So when you are constipated, when waste is filled in the intestines, now the smell cannot go behind. The smell will come out through
the mouth.
There are some people when they go to, they have bowel movements, you cannot go back to that toilet again because of the smell. This tells you whatever is sitting in that body, it is rotten. Whatever is sitting on that colon, it's fermented. So at the end of the day, what is being absorbed in the blood to the cells is toxins. So what will happen to the cells? They will start fighting back, trying to save you. And when they try to fight back, that is when we get inflammation.
Okay.
So when you get inflammation, you start feeling pain in your joints. You start feeling congested chest. Because when now this waste goes to the system, the body tries to look for a place to deposit. So if it is cholesterol, it will deposit in the arteries. And then that's when we say this waste, we call it cholesterol. When it is in the colon, we say constipation. So when you say constipation, it is waste in the colon.
All right.
When it is in the breathing system, where we have bronchitis, the inflammation of the bronchitis, we call it asthma or bronchitis. When it is in the ovaries or in the uterus, the toxins are in the uterus or in the ovaries, the doctors will call it cyst.
Sometimes some of these things are irreversible, so they say. If you are asthmatic, is there a scenario where one can say it's okay after you get it all right in terms of getting waste out of your body or getting rid of waste out of your body, after you get it all right in terms of detoxing and everything, can you reverse the damages that have been caused by the same?
The body, as I said the other day, is made of what you eat. And what you eat today, it will talk and walk tomorrow. So when you are suffering from any kind of a disease, you are the cause. 90% you are the cause of what you eat every day. It is what you eat today, it will show up tomorrow. And the kind of waste that you eat, it depends with what kind of food you eat more. If you eat food full of fat, you will get cholesterol. If you eat food full of mucus, we have mucus forming food. That waste, the body will convert it into mucus. So when the body converts it to mucus, it will look for the way to deposit it. It will deposit in the respiratory system. And that's when you have asthma, allergy, and sinuses. Because you are fond of eating mucus forming food. If you're eating food full of acid, like the roasted meat is full of acid, soft drinks, they are full of acid, you end up getting arthritis. Because the body will look for ways to deposit these toxins in your system. So it will go to the joints and it will start bringing what we call wear and tear of tissues. And then the doctor will call it arthritis. But in the real sense, it is toxins looking for a way to come out. When it comes out through the skin, we call it eczema, psoriasis, or acne. If you do a lot of fat foods, it will come out as acne. You see? Psoriasis is a chronic skin disease, and it is caused by toxins in the blood. So whatever you eat, it will create a certain type of a disease according to what you have taken every day. Yes.
All right, so all said and done, it's about what you eat, but then again, there's a way you can control this, and that's when detox comes in, because we all agree that in as much as we'd want, to run away from food, we have to eat. Even though we have to be healthy. Sometimes we keep telling ourselves that we have to eat right. And now that you've acknowledged that sometimes you can eat right, but if you do not, get rid of this waste of your body in a proper way, then it ends up, causing more good than harm, more harm than good. And so in this case, let's get to that aspect of, what we are discussing this morning, that is natural detox. Before we even delve deep into this and understanding what it is that we have on set today, my question then would be, when we're talking about natural detox, does this mean then that we have artificial way of detoxing? And is it good in comparison to the natural? They'd say natural is always good. Yeah, but is it as effective?
When we come to detox, before you think of detox, think of about a car. This car uses petrol, and then you put it diesel. Will it work? It will not work. So the first thing you will do, you remove the petrol, then you put in the diesel, and the car will start working. The same thing with our bodies. We are crying. We are on pills every day. We are in pain, migraine headache, fatigue. We want to have waste. Like as women, we are working out how to have waste. You cannot have waste and you have waste inside the body. So if you want to have waste, you remove the waste.
All right.
And then things will come back to normal. So we have artificial. People say that when I go to the hospital, I'll take this, and my body will come back to normal. But I always say, if your diet is good, medicine is of no need. If your diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. So yes, you are ailing and you want to treat the disease inside you. But you have not removed the underlying cause of the problem. And that's where we come to detox. We remove the petrol, we put in the diesel. We remove the diesel, we put in the petrol, so that the body can start functioning properly. Because we have the elimination channels, as we talked about that the other time. We have the kidney. The liver is the largest organ we have in the body.
Right.
And it does millions of work in our system. It helps us to save toxins from anything you eat. It has to go through the liver.
Yes.
So we have the lungs. Every time we breathe in and we breathe out, we remove waste from our bodies. We have the colon, the large intestines, and that's where the problem lies. Because everything we eat, it has to go through the colon. So when you see people with big tummy, and I always say, big tummy is waste in two forms. Waste in metabolic waste, that is feces clogging inside the colon, and cholesterol in form of waste. So if you cannot remove the feces in the colon, because sometimes when you go for a scan, the doctor will say a lot of feces seen in the colon, accumulated in the colon.
Okay.
So if you don't cleanse the colon and you cleanse the blood, you will always feel sick because the body is yearning for rest. The body is calling for rest. So how do we detox the body? That's where we come. Natural detoxification. What are we detoxifying? We are detoxifying two things: metabolic waste and toxins in the blood. When we say metabolic waste, it is unwanted food sitting in your colon for a long period of time. And we have seen that when it gets fermented or if it decomposes, it will bring a lot of other issues. And from that, it will also cause cancer at the end of the day because the blood will be so acidic, the blood will be full of toxins, the cells will be feeding on it, and they will start growing abnormally. And cancer is abnormal growth of cells.
All right.
So when we eat properly, and before we eat properly, we need to cleanse. We have like 5 ways of detoxifying the body.
These are natural ways.
The natural ways of detoxifying the body. So the first thing is you sit down and think, how am I going to remove the toxins? We have what we call the colon flush. It cleanses the colon. The gastrointestinal tract from here to
All
the
the
back.
way down.
It will cleanse all that debris sitting in your colon. Because we say when the colon is clean, the blood is clean.
All right.
When the colon has a lot of waste, it will detoxify the blood.
The blood.
And the cells will be weak and the immunity will go down. And also will get autoimmune diseases. So we are crying every day. We are on pills every day because debris are sitting in our system. So the colon flush, you'll get it in my office.
Yes.
It will cleanse the colon. Then we have the blood detox.
All right.
When we come to the colon, we don't detox. We cleanse.
Okay.
When we come to the blood, we detox. Because we detox the kidney, the liver, the blood, the bladder, and the cells. They want to cleanse the blood. It goes to the cellular level. You cannot get well until you cleanse the cells.
The cells. Before it even gets to that point, maybe it is fair to ask, where then does the aspect of metabolism rate comes in on this? I mean, can it save us the hassle of having to go all the way to detox, all the way to cleanse, when we have a proper functioning metabolism rate?
Okay, that's a good question, and that's where I was going.
Okay.
The body, naturally, we are fearful and wonderfully made by God. It has natural ways of eliminating toxins and removing debris in the colon, or feces in the colon, or having a bowel movement. But one thing, we eat from morning to evening.
Right.
We eat what is not food. We take empty calories. We take refined foods. They stick in the system. So when they stick in the system, they don't call for bowel movements.
All right.
So you cannot go for a long call without a call. So you feel for a call, you obey the call.
All right.
And millions of people, they don't feel for a call. Why?
That's
because
dangerous.
it is the food have sticked on the walls of the stomach.
Okay.
So
there's no
we
pressure
have
for
what we
something
call
coming out.
peristaltic
Okay.
movement. The intestines have to press like this to move the food. But now the food that you have taken is junk food. Refined foods like white bread, white chapati, white rice, you see, such kind of food. And maybe a lot of deep fried foods. We have French fries, we have mandazi, we have kebabs, we have sausages. Those things, when they get to the system, they start rotting so fast. And when they sit for a long period of time, they decompose. and they stick along the walls of the intestines. That is why the metabolism will go slow.
Okay.
And then it will block the elimination channels. The kidneys, the liver, the blood, they will stop working the way they're supposed to work.
Okay.
For example, when we have the problem with stroke, you get stroke because the blood is thick, like this smoothie.
Okay.
We call it the viscosity of the blood. The blood is thick. So it is not circulating properly. So for the blood to clot anytime is very easy.
Okay.
And that's why the doctor will apply the blood thinners to thin the blood.
Okay.
But what has caused the viscosity of the blood? It is toxins. So we need to cleanse the blood.
All right.
We need to cleanse the colon. So when we talk of hypertension, I say not hypertension. It is food pressure.
Okay.
Food pressure in the
body.
In the body. So when we reduce intake of food, then we detox the system, then we start eating right, and that's what I do in my clinic.
Yes.
I give you direction on what to eat after detoxifying your system. I cannot apply anything before you take the detox kit.
So when we talk about the detox kit, how long, I mean, is there a duration? Are there specific times that one should probably have this? And then after how long then do you start eating proper, or in the process of detox you as well eat proper?
It depends on the disease that you have.
Okay.
I don't cure the disease. I enhance the healing power of the body to heal itself. Because as I said the other time, the body has the power to heal itself.
Yeah.
So I don't cure the disease. I enhance the body to heal itself by cleansing out the toxins and eating the right food.
Okay.
So when you start eating right, the body will heal automatically. So when we come to detox, because our time is going, when we come to detox, you are cleansing. We have herbs, pure herbs, that cleanses the system.
Yeah.
And that's what I have in my clinic. Then after that, we come to smoothie. What is inside a smoothie? Smoothie is made of vegetables and fruits.
All right.
And there are some people, I cannot advise them to use vegetables and fruits at the same meal.
Okay.
Especially when you have gastritis. Because it will ferment.
Be acidic.
And it will be acidic, it will react. So the smoothie, this one I've made of, it's made of mangoes, spinach, coriander, and avocado.
Okay.
Yes, it's inside here.
All right.
So the smoothie, what is the work of the smoothie in the body? People say, I won't take the detox herbs because I cleanse myself with the smoothie. That one doesn't work.
Okay.
The smoothies doesn't cleanse the system. What it does, it feeds the cells. This is food packed of minerals and vitamins.
Yes.
This is full of antioxidants.
Nutrients and
This is full of phytonutrients.
Okay.
Plant-based, you see? So this one is food for the cells. When we feed the cells will be able to fight the disease because the immunity will go up.
Yeah.
But the first thing we detox. We cleanse the colon, we cleanse the liver, the kidney, the blood. We open the elimination channels. And then now when we open the elimination channels, now when you put the smoothies, it will work.
Okay.
So I put my patients on smoothies.
Yes.
Then I do vegetable salads.
Okay.
Also. And then I put them on one meal in a day. And it depends with the weight also.
One meal?
Yes, 1 meal.
Okay.
One
That is when
meal.
they are on the process of one cooked
This too
meal.
much of food is what is causing diseases.
All right.
This too much of food, and especially cooked food. The other day I said, cooked food is dead food.
Yes.
Raw food, like the smoothies, they are full of life.
There are numerous occasions when, and especially for mothers who probably have just given birth, lactating mothers and all that, sometimes you're told, you're advised not to combine some of these nutrients together. For instance, like you've said, sometimes you're even told, take your porridge, but do not have milk in it. Take your fruits, one at a time. Do not combine them. Are they as effective when you take them combined? Or why is it that there's normally that advice?
It's because there is certain kind of food you can take and it will affect the baby.
Okay.
So that's why we advise like that. Like now the porridge, when you combine a lot, that's a lot of protein. And then when it gets to the baby, the body will term it as toxins. So what will happen? The baby will come out with rashes. And it's excess protein in what you are eating. If you take a lot of milk and a lot of eggs, the same thing it will react.
Are there occurrences when you take, say, the two combined, and one alters the other from functioning the way it's supposed to function in the body? Not well in sense of excessives, but in the sense that maybe when you're having milk and you have other nutrients that come from the flour that has been used to cook this porridge, then in a way it alters the performance of these nutrients.
Sometimes it does.
All right.
Even in herbal medicine, sometimes it does. There's some medicine you cannot mix together. There's food that you cannot mix together because it will overcome or it will overdo the other nutrients in the system.
Okay.
So that's why we are there to advise our patients on what to do, and our clients on what to do. When they come to the clinic, we advise them accordingly.
All right, so yes, back to this.
Now, when we come to what you're supposed to do after the detox, I tell people we really need to detox. We need to cleanse the colon. You have big tummy, know that is waste. And like us women, we comfort ourselves and say, it's because I have a baby. That's why, because I have a CS.
Baby first,
the other day, my baby is just 1 year, 8 months.
Okay.
And it was a CS, and it's my fourth born.
Yes.
And people are like, now you're going to see Daktari, what are you going to do with your shape?
Yes. The Daktari is looking good 1 month, 1 year later.
Exactly,
yes.
So what are you going to do with baby fat? But it is what you eat. You know what we do? Where the baby was, we replace with food.
All right.
Yes. And you see the muscles are now weak because
so they need to
there was
heal
that stretching.
And contract. Yeah.
You see? So when you continue overeating because you have a baby, the stomach will still stay the same. So the cause of big tummy, nobody can convince me it's not caused by cholesterol and metabolic waste.
Okay.
Because when I cleanse my clients, they come back to the normal and they have the waste.
All right.
Because that's the real thing. So another thing, we need to add value into our foods so that it can help in building our immunity. I think the next topic we are going to talk about building the immunity.
Yes.
How we can build because of the virus that we have around.
Right.
So I have something that I've prepared and it's already cooking, and then we'll show people next time on what to do when they're at home.
Right.
After they take the detox, now what can they do to maintain the immunity to be at spa? You see right now, like the doctors are not working.
Yes.
So we need to know what to do when you're at home.
You need to know what you can do
when the doctor
yourself.
is not there.
Yes.
So you can add value in your smoothie by adding almond nuts.
Okay.
We have chia seeds. We have flax seeds. They add value into your smoothies because they help in helping in what we call to help your food to move.
Yes.
The seeds, they help the food to move. And then they are antioxidants. They are full of protein, like the almonds. The best nuts to take is almonds.
Okay.
That's the best nuts to take. The rest of the nuts, they have bad cholesterol.
All right.
Especially like the peanuts. You need to take them in moderate because too much of peanuts, they have what we call carcinogenic traces.
Yeah.
The former president of America, Jimmy Carter, they had a big plantation of peanuts. And you'll Google and see. And 8 members of the family died of cancer. So they wanted to know what is causing the problem. They found it was the peanuts because they were doing peanuts in everything.
Okay.
So sparingly, I didn't say you don't use, but use it sparingly. So almond nuts are the best.
Okay.
We have the pumpkin seeds.
Right.
They are full of zinc, which is good for men.
Okay.
So
you've just looked at all the men in the house, and I hope they've had that. Yes.
Yes, this is good for.
So sometimes you swallow them, or you just you have to make sure that they are well
You
grinded.
blend them?
You blend them.
Yes.
Okay.
If you want to put them in a smoothie, you soak them overnight.
Okay.
So that they can.
By the time it's morning, they
are soft.
Yes.
To be blended.
Okay.
So we have the pumpkin seeds. They are full of zinc. This is the best thing to do, and especially even when we have the virus, zinc is good for your immunity. So it helps.
So I should start that for my little boy as early as now.
Yeah. And the pumpkin family, you see the butternut, the pumpkin itself is very good. The pumpkin leaves. Even I blend the pumpkin leaves. I make smoothies.
Smoothies with them.
Yes. Right. So after cleansing with the herbs, after you detox, you take the detox kit. Now that's when we take the salads, the vegetable salad. Next time we'll come and show them how to make the salad, how to mix them in rainbow colors, and what to use.
Okay, the thorn melon. I can see the thorn melon there. One that very many people run away from. By all means.
This melon is not sweet.
Not at all.
To the taste buds, but sweet to the cells.
Okay.
Most of the food that we take, we want to stimulate our taste buds. Most of the food is just sweet here.
Yes.
But poisonous to the cells. I always say, Your stomach doesn't eat food. Your taste buds doesn't eat food. What eats food, it is your cells.
Okay.
You are made of what you eat because it goes to the cells.
To the cells.
To the cells. So most of the people, they like stimulating the sweetness, the taste. And then when we like those tasty foods, we end up getting sick, getting big, getting a rough skin, getting old. You see, the refined foods and the fried foods, they make you look old.
Oh.
They don't make your skin to glow.
Okay.
But the smoothies, the carrot juice, the beetroot juice, the cucumber juice, the bok choy, the broccoli, the cauliflower, those they make your body to glow.
Okay. Well, we don't have that display.
So the non melon,
yes,
is good, and most of the people they use it for hypertension. Definitely, it's good for that, and it's also good for constipation. Any fruit that has small seeds, when you are constipated, it is the best.
Okay.
And it is good for high blood pressure because it has a lot of contents of water.
Right.
Like the cucumber.
Yes.
It's good because it has content of
watermelons
water.
and all that.
So whatever you eat, it will say and talk tomorrow.
Oh.
That is why millions of people today, they are admitted in the hospital, they are sick at home, they are in the office with a lot of pills they are taking, and they are not sick. It's just toxins in the system and eating the wrong food.
Right.
So when they come to my clinic, we detox, I change their diet, they start eating right. It's not a must you eat 1 meal in a day. You can take 2 meals. But in between meals is when we take the smoothie.
Okay.
Because it is alkaline. Any acidic blood can breed any kind of a disease. So we take the smoothies in between. We take the vegetable salads in between. You can take even the nuts in between the meals. You drink a lot of water. And then we have what we call intermittent fast. That's another way of detoxifying the body.
Okay.
That's about 1 meal in a day.
All right.
Or 16 hours fast. Or 18 hours fast.
So
or
fasting
24 hours
sometimes
fast.
works. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Fasting is the best medicine in the world.
Wow.
But not dry fast.
Not dry 100%.
Yes,
you can take
because you'll
water
be
in
dehydrated.
between. Yes.
So when you fast, you drink water.
Okay.
Also fasting on smoothies. You can fast on smoothies. You are taking smoothies only. You can fast on vegetable juices only. You can fast on salads only. That helps in detoxifying the system and enhancing the immunity after we have removed the toxins.
All right.
And it have worked for chronic diseases. I have seen the body reversing chronic diseases by just removing toxins and eating the right food. And people, they flourish in health.
Incredible. So what are these before we close it? Because we are at 50 and I'm sure by 55 we should be out of this place. What are these beautiful, is it bottles or what? You know,
What we
sometimes
say-
color is nice.
What we say, when you are from 0 years to 30 years, you're supposed to take 3 meals in a day.
Yes.
Because you are very active. 30 years to 40 years, 2 meals.
Wow.
That is cooked food.
Food, yes.
I'm not talking about raw food, cooked food. So from 40 years and above, so that you can reverse age, it is 1 cooked meal.
Oh.
The rest of the time, you are eating raw.
Okay.
Yes. So this is still smoothie, but I have added banana.
Watermelon or what?
No, banana, mango, cucumber, and beetroot.
Ah, now that's
That's
where
why
the
it
red
has
comes
a different
from.
color
Yes.
from this one.
Yes.
Yes, but green smoothies, they are more
the best.
effective. They are the
Okay.
best.
Yeah,
the green
yeah.
smoothies are the best. After you detox the system, you start taking the green smoothies, things will work perfectly. Yes.
In most cases, we put milk in our smoothies because we assume that a smoothie cannot be a smoothie minus milk.
I say, for example, if you have an allergy and you
Yes.
put milk is
Then
allergic.
it will react.
It will react. So I say you put water, or you blend, you juice something like carrot and you add it to your smoothies.
The sugars.
Or you do plant-based milk. We have the almond milk in the
Okay.
health food stores. We have rice milk in the health food store. We have
Yes.
soya milk, but don't use soya if you have fibroids.
Okay.
Anything that has soya, when you have fibroids, don't
It's
use.
not good.
When you have fibroids, don't use milk because it has estrogen.
Okay.
And what is causing the problem? So every disease we have, it is pressure of what we eat. Any disease we have. So let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food. And I think I'm Dr. Rose John.
Yes, you are. And I mean, honestly, we have not gotten the answers to detox. So that means you have to consult doctor in a way. She keeps saying that, you know, when you come to my clinic, I do this and all that. So we'd love to know what clinic is this that we're talking about. Because, you know, we are really not out here to, you know, speak much of what it is about, you know, the clinics and everything. We are really out here to help the people. And if you can go to her clinic and get that help, then why not?
Okay. I'm located here in Nairobi. I have a clinic here in Nairobi and another one in Nakuru.
Okay.
But in Nakuru, I just work over the weekends. But there's somebody else, somebody can consult when you want to go there during the week.
Okay.
But during the week, I'm here in Nairobi from Monday to Friday. So we are located at Ronangara Street, just opposite Ronangara Post Office.
Yes.
There is a house called Meningai House 2, second floor, room number C4. My cell phone is 0723 390 411.
Dr. will have to pay for that bit of advertisement, but all the same, she's done as well and she's done as good. And I think it is only fair that we appreciate that. I hope they've gotten the number well, and I hope they've gotten the directions. Now, it's an era of social media, Dr. You are nowhere on the social media platforms, honestly.
I'm on Facebook. Adams Natural Health Center.
I hope you're active.
So sorry. Yes, I'm very active.
What's the name again?
Adams Natural Health Center.
Adams Natural Health Center.
Yes, Adams Natural Health Center.
Okay.
Just in town. You know, when I say Adams, people think it's an Adam arcade. No, it is in town.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. And I think on that note, it is time that we enjoy the smoothies.
Yeah, it's the time.
Or I must detox until, so for me to get to enjoy this, yes? Today I'm free, eh? Thank you. And that's it. And I think we always say it is not very expensive to live healthy. And I don't know why we keep assuming that it can be expensive to live healthy. Some of these things are readily available in the market. What are you doing? You just go out there, you overlook the bananas, you overlook the watermelons, which the thorn melons, which are as good as free, and you know the beetroots around. And I mean, it's pretty simple. You can always look good. You can always live healthy as you get this. I think. Asante sana, Dr. Rose. It was good having you. And asante for keeping us company right from the word go. As I get to enjoy this. This is magical. One, because yes, the taste is real. I can almost tell that you did not put sugar.
Yes,
but there's some sweetness in it.
It's because of mango.
Mango.
Yes.
Right, so
just
you do not...
mango. Yes.
All right, so there are always easy ways of doing this. Invest on a blender. It won't cost you nothing. And you will look... Invest on one, Madam Director. Madam, nothing like Omona. Blenders are affordable nowadays, right?
They are.
How much?
All over.
2,000 bob, you can get one.
No, that one will not.
You would not?
No.
All right, so what?
The best one is from 6,000 and above.
My director says she's from Muranga in the village. What does she do? Eat them raw.
There's no